Welcome back to another live stream. Hi, how is everyone doing? It is Thursday night here in Malaysia, and yeah, it's gonna be an exciting night. We don't really have a hot topic to talk about. I don't think we want to go on and complaining and ranting all the time. I think it's the perfect opportunity for us to share what we love about Micro Four Thirds. And perhaps I would like you to tell me what's your favorite Micro Four Thirds camera. And yeah, thank you, Jerry Hukari, for the update for the audio and video. I guess it's working fine. Let me just drink some coffee. I'll get to the chat. Because I always ask if you guys can see the video okay and you can hear the microphone. If there's any issues, please report. And thanks, Jerry, for that. I really appreciate it. I haven't set up the chat yet, so let me just do that quickly so that I can bring your chat on the window. Let me see if I can do that. There it is. Hey, Gregory, thank you so much. Nice seeing you here. I'll be doing better after coffee. Yeah, go get some coffee, Gregory. Thank you so much, Jerry Hukari. Appreciate your report. Hey, Vapagamuka, good evening to you. Thanks also to Vapagamuka for the audio and video report. Hey, Jer, good evening to you too. Nice to see you here. Vstrom says, audio video okay. Thank you so much for the report. Viewer is fuzzy. I can't help with that, Gregory. Yeah, go brew, serve some coffee, hey. Hey, Juliet, how are you? Nice to see you here, Juliet. Hello, Robin, dropping in for a short while. Lots of drama here in the States, but otherwise it's great to see you. What drama, though? I haven't been following up on the news lately, except that the President Trump came to Malaysia, I think last week, or 2 weeks ago for the ASEAN Summit, which was hosted in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. We had a lot of road closures. The city is basically in a lockdown, just to facilitate the VIPs moving around from places to places. And I wasn't even in town. I was out of town. I was in Penang. I think that was 2 weeks ago. Other than that, I have no idea what drama is happening. Hey, Roy Capture, how are you? Nice to see you here again. Andrew, hey Andrew, good evening Robin, audio and video crystal clear. Thank you so much for the update, Andrew, appreciate that. I should probably move the microphone away a little bit because people complain, oh, there's some distortion, the microphone gets too hot, you know, the sound is breaking up, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine. Let me move the microphone further away. As Jihan says, sup bro, hey, how are you? Jerry says, hi everybody from dark and wet Finland. Hey Jerry, good to see you again. Estrom says, good afternoon from Iceland. Hey Estrom, how are you? Kamuyat Maram says, hearing you loud and clear from Philippines. Excited for the topic tonight. Good evening, I guess. Good PM. I've never seen anyone word it that way. Good PM, Robin and everyone. Good evening to you too. Luis says, hello Robin, I'm currently shooting some events in relatively small rooms. I'm looking for a wide-angle lens that doesn't break the bank. I'm thinking about getting a TT Artisan APS-C 10 f2. Well, if you are willing to work with wide angle, then of course that's, sorry, not wide angle, manual focus, then that is a good solution for you. But I would highly recommend, because for events, things are moving very fast and I don't want to deal with manual focusing when I'm working, and autofocus is the way to go, right? And if you are looking for a good wide angle lens with autofocus, I highly suggest Panasonic 9 f1.7, and I have done a review for that lens a few years ago, so I'm gonna share my review here for you to check it out. So Louis, Panasonic 9 f1.7 review. So check out this video if you have not done so. All right, there it is. All right. Juliet says, I like this topic, by the way. The EP2 was my first Micro Four Thirds and got some of my first best straight photographs, even compared to all my other 100K image catalog. My favorite now is GM5 and OM3. Awesome. EP2 was the one that one of the few Olympus cameras that I never tried. So, well, since we have time and tonight's topic is just sharing what we love, right? It's a bit of story time. I think EP2 was launched in the year 2010, if I remember correctly. Let me just double check the fact. When was Olympus EP2 launch? No, it's 2009. Okay. Wow, same year with EP1. I remember EP1 was launched in 2009 as well. Okay, so EP2 was launched in 2009. But before that, I was involved with Olympus Malaysia. I have not worked for them. I started working for them in 2013. So in 2009 was when EP2 was launched. So it was 4 years before I joined the company, right? That was my initial stages of involvement with Olympus. And at that time, they appointed someone, another photographer, I'm not going to name who works very closely with them. And he's supposed to be like the ambassador or someone that's running the marketing activities, the consumer program, workshops. He's supposed to be the one who promotes Olympus outside of the Olympus sales and marketing office in Malaysia, right? And he's a prominent photographer. He takes wonderful photographs. He's an excellent person, and he does wonderful events. Now, I think Olympus saw something in me because that time I have a blog that writes about Olympus every now and then. Not every now and then, every week without fail. What was I talking about every now and then? I was very regular, right? Every week I blog about new content, new photographs. I share new photographs about Olympus, and I went out to shoot in the weekends. I have a full-time job. So I share my photographs and my thoughts and my journey using Olympus products on my blog. So Olympus noticed me. And I think in the year 2000, if I'm not wrong, so I was involved with Olympus for a while, and they came to me and asked me to review some products. And this person wasn't happy. He was not happy. So that's why I think he told Olympus Malaysia not to give some of the products to me to review. And that's fine. I don't care, whatever. I was an engineer back then. I don't really care about all these things. If the product came to me, it came to me. But I think the lesson I take away from this particular incident was people can be mean, and jealousy is real. And especially photographers, there's this ego problem in photographers. There's always, you'll see a lot of photographers having these issues. It's like people always think that they are better than others. Like, hey, I look at this competition. Why is this photographer winning the first, second, and third prize? I'm better than the champion, right? I take better photographs than the one that's winning number one. And why is this number one photographer? His photo is crap. How does he deserve to win? You always hear these things all the time. And people are not happy when like brands work with other photographers. So I was one of those person that just came in. I was new. I was nobody. I wasn't a famous person back then, and I came out of nowhere. But for whatever reasons, my blog achieved quite a huge success. That's why I continued working with Olympus. So, anyways, just the reason why I never got the chance to try some of the earlier cameras, like the SZ1, for example. SZ1. That was about the same time as the EP2. So EP2, SZ1, when those cameras were launched, I was not contacted by Olympus. So yeah, anyway, just want to share some interesting facts. And if I can find one EP2 in the used market today, I don't mind giving it a try. It'll be really awesome. Enough stories. Gregory says GM5. All right. Yes, GM5 is quite an awesome camera. That's what Chris Nichols said, right? In Petapixel, he said that's like the best camera ever. Rowan Kepcher said, I stuff out big time on the weekend. Oh dear, I had my EM1 in 18 frames per second and tracking autofocus to photograph a rally sprint. Let's just say I got 2,000 photos in 10 minutes and most of them were out of focus. Yes. For the first, I think not first, for most Olympus cameras, when you shoot at sequential high, there is no continuous autofocus. It is only single autofocus. Even when you select the focusing mode and change to continuous autofocus, once you select the burst sequential to the highest setting, like the 18 frames per second, then you lose immediately the tracking or continuous autofocus. If you want to track moving subjects, you have to use continuous autofocus low or burst sequential low, right? I don't even know what the frames per second is for for low. I have EM1 here, by the way. Yeah, so I don't even know what the frame rate for the burst sequential is for low. I can check, but it doesn't really matter. Yeah. And that's the thing that really irks me is like if we select burst sequential high and we cannot use continuous autofocus in that setting, then why do you allow the setting continuous autofocus to be enabled? Why don't you just disable it and put out a warning saying that it's just a few words, right? Burst sequential high cannot use CAF, or CAF cannot be used in this mode. I think that's quite clear, right? Like, and this kind of mistakes could have been prevented if the engineers or whoever that's designing the menu can make it a little bit clearer and easier to understand and easier to use. And I think that's the reason why a lot of people complain about the Olympus menu system. I get it, I understand. I used Olympus for so long, right? And a lot of people have all these issues, and most of the time it's not the user's fault. Like the menu could have been a little bit simpler, the settings could have been a little bit easier to understand, and problems like this could have been avoided, right? So yeah, it's totally not your fault. Juliet says, wow, I didn't know about the shooting sequential low or you lose CF. Yes, and it is still applicable to the latest OM system cameras. So there are two sets of different sequential shooting, whether it's for mechanical shutter or electronic shutter. Electronic is silent shutter. And of course, when you go for electronic shutter, it's a lot higher. Now, I can't remember the OM ones because I don't use OM1 enough for my jobs since I've defaulted it back to my EMR Mark II, EMR Mark II as my main camera. I remember if you use electronic shutter, the sequential burst high is 60 frames per second. That's not slow, by the way. A lot of people say, oh, you know, like OM1 is so fast, EMR Mark II is so slow. I'm like, 60 frames per second is by no means slow. Even in today's standard in 2025, EMR Mark II from 2016 is not slow. 60 frames per second raw, by the way, with minimal rolling shutter. That's sequential burst high, and sequential burst low is 18 frames per second. So that was on EMR Mark II. So 18 frames per second is also not slow by today's standards. It is matching some of the top cameras from today, most expensive cameras out there. And if it's mechanical shutter, I think it's something like continuous high is 15 and continuous low is like something like 10 frames per second or something. I could be wrong, but this information can be easily found online everywhere, right? So yeah. Andrew says, don't make me choose which one is my favorite Micro Four Thirds camera, Robin. I got too many lovers. You gotta choose, man. Gotta choose. Yeah. Andrew and his polygamy. Roy Capture says, I figured that out when I got home. I have it set on 10 frames per second low and cluster autofocus. At least it wasn't a paid shoot, it was just a portfolio building. Alright, no worries. Gary says, I cannot abide burst mode. I learned to plan my shots and capture the moment. 36 frames had to be used wisely. I think depends on what you're shooting, like if you're doing street photography, still life, portraits, things that don't require a lot of like quick reaction, then it's fine. But like sometimes there are things that you can't predict. Let's say you're shooting a very fast dance or martial arts or like MMA fight, Muay Thai, and everything is all the kicks. And I mean, like when the first time I watched Muay Thai, I have trouble following the movement of the fists and the legs. They were moving so fast. Like seriously, everything is just happening like in an instant, right? Like you can't really see, everything is in a flurry, right? And that's when like you realize you can't rely on yourself to track the movement. That's when you need the camera's speed to compensate for your own lack of or your inability to follow the movement or your inability to predict what's going to happen. And in these situations, like I don't want to just miss shots, right? You want your best to let's say you're shooting for a client, you need to deliver shots, right? And something like 10-20 frames per second is good enough. Like in 1 second take 10 shots. And that's really good enough for you to really at least get some usable shots out of that sequence, right? Spray and pray. I don't encourage it, of course, but I can see in those situations how it can help. Like, for example, golf swing is so fast, or when like tennis. I've shot that tennis recently, right? Like you can see, I want the racket and the ball to stick on the racket. Like, come on, that is such a fast swing. How can you just do one click to make sure that you get the shot? You can't. Like, you are human. You can't, right? And you don't know what the tennis player is doing, like, or thinking. And the only way to capture those moments is to use bursts. And I can see how bursts can be very important in a lot of situations. Yeah. All right, let me get to a few more chats. And yeah, and I'll start with the updates for this week. Oh, Shutterhand says, good evening from Thailand. Hey, how are you? Nice to see you. Jer says, my favorite is the only one I have, the EM5 Mark II. Been using the 1245 f4 and having fun. Also, the Plastic Fantastic 40-150. We'll spend more time with that lens at the baseball games next year. I saw a 12-45 f4 on in the used market going for, how much was it? MIR, 1400 to USD. For $300 US. That is cheap. If I don't have the 1240 Pro, I would have gone for the 1245 f4 Pro. Wow, I don't really know how to pronounce your name. Queen? Sorry if I got it wrong. Hello from Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. Hey, nice to see you here. Hey, Amir, how are you? Roti kosong. Oh, come on. Be a bit more adventurous, right? Roti telur bawang, the standard for any Malaysians here. Anyway, Amir is he just asked me if I was free to shoot in the weekend, and I told him no, I'm going away. I'm gonna tell you guys what's happening in the weekend. Sorry, Amir, maybe next week. Maybe next week. Torment Tisaternum. Oh, wow, what is that? I'll just say Torment. Torment says EM10 Mark II, should I upgrade body? If you're happy with the camera, don't upgrade. But if there are certain things that, or certain features that you need, or you find that the camera is limiting in some situations, and you need a better performing camera, then you can find the camera that can do the job. All right, that's where you decide to upgrade. But if the EM10 Mark II can do whatever you need it to do, then what's the reason to upgrade, right? No reason. Jerry says, my favorite of the cameras that I have used is Olympus E-P2. It has more features than I need and everything works fine. Doesn't have an electronic viewfinder, but adds screen brightness if needed. All right, all right. E-P2 is fantastic. I think EPL8 was the last pen light model or EPL model that you can add an external viewfinder if you want to. You can just buy the external viewfinder. I'm sure you can find some floating around in the used market and just attach it on the EPL8, and there you go. You have a viewfinder already, right? Yeah. Hey, Luis, no worries. Yeah, do check out the Panasonic 9 f1.7. I think it's a fantastic lens. As Jihan says, currently have OM3, all-time favorite EM1. Oh yes, EM1. EM1 is definitely an all-time favorite. I still use it from time to time. I'm going to share some photographs from this EM1 later during the photo sharing session. Fragile says, my favorite maybe EM1 Mark II and G9 Mark II. How about with 9 f1.7? Yeah, I just mentioned the 9 f1.7 is awesome. And wow, both fantastic camera. Of course, the G9 Mark II is way more advanced than the EM1 Mark II. It's a newer camera. Better video capabilities, everything is faster, I think more advanced. It has AI, autofocus and everything, whereas the EM1 Mark II is more basic. But yeah, I still use my EM1 Mark II for my jobs and I still find it delivers fantastic results. So no worries. Okay, I'm gonna put a pause here and I'm gonna do some updates on what's happening in my life. Nothing much really. Let me drink some coffee first. Alright. On Monday, I have a new video. If you guys haven't seen it, it's about some mistakes, common mistakes that I see people do when it comes to... Wait, it's not common mistakes. It's it's common mistakes. Common mistakes people do when it comes to street photography, or things that you can do to improve your street photography without upgrading gear, right? Without like getting the latest and greatest. And the question I ask myself is this: is your camera good enough? And that's always the thing that gets people, the insecurity, right? You always feel that my camera is not good enough. I need better equipment. I need better lens, better camera to get that better shot. So the idea of making that video is just to remind people that, hey, whatever that you have that's already in your hand or your camera bag, it's more than good enough. It's sufficient. And there are many things that you can do to improve photography. And there are mistakes that you can avoid, or there are things that you can try to upgrade your skills. And I think that is something that I want to encourage people to really think, not just always chase that next best gear or keep upgrading to no end, because like, yes, you have the best camera today, right? Tomorrow there'll be a new camera, and then the next day there'll be another new camera. So are you gonna go for that endless cycle of upgrading and without actually improving your photography? I think it's more important to work on ourselves and the cameras that you have. Maybe you've got a camera 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It's already good enough. So that's the main message that I was sending on the latest video, and it's centered on street photography. I'm not qualified to talk about other stuff like wildlife photography, of course. And this weekend I am going away. Let me see if I can bring this up. Oh, yeah, I can. I'll just bring... Hey! Something disappeared. Wait. Ah, there it is. Yes, this weekend I'm going away. I'm going out of town to Johor, and I'll be giving a talk for Futuromic, speaking for Rico, and I'll be talking about my experience shooting with the GR4, doing my street photography in Kuala Lumpur. If you are in Johor, you're free on Sunday, please drop by, but you do need to RSVP. The event is free. It's more like a photo sharing session, and if you want to meet up, if you want to see me in person, so I'll be at Sutaya Bookstore at Aeon. I think it's an Aeon in Tebrau, something. All the information is on the poster, so if you want to come, please do register. I look forward to seeing you guys on Sunday, this coming Sunday. I'll be going on Saturday. Sunday's the event, and coming back to Kuala Lumpur on Sunday evening. So I'll be going away this weekend for this particular event. And yeah, this week also, if you're in Kuala Lumpur, there is this content creators experience organized by YL Camera. YL Camera is one of the largest retailers, camera retailers in Malaysia, and this event is happening in Plaza Lawyat. It is already happening now until Sunday, so if you want to find good deals on cameras and lenses, or maybe you want to try new cameras, I don't know if say the latest camera from Canon, they have the R6 Mark III, right? I don't know if the R6 Mark III is already there for people to try. The new 45 1.2 lens, I don't know if it's there already. Or if you want to try something new like Nikon ZR, for example, or any other products from Tamron, Sigma, Fuji. I'm sure Fuji is going to showcase the XT30 Mark III or XT30 there, and all the latest products as well. Like all the big brands will be there, right? Panasonic, Fuji, Canon, Nikon, DJI as well. If you want to check out some of the new DJI products, drones, or some of the gimbals and everything. Yeah, it's a creators trade show, or like a trade show, camera trade show. You can go there, check all these new products out. I'm sure there'll be activities happening on the main stage as well. Some photographers will be giving talk or doing some sharing. I don't know. I haven't seen any announcement yet, but I'm pretty sure there's a main stage, and from the previous trade shows in Lawyat Plaza, which I've been to before, I've seen some of the like ambassadors or photographers giving talks for respective brands, trying to promote new products or just to share their work, right? And to me, it's not so much of like, oh, if you're Sony, I'm not going to come to an event, or oh, I am a Canon supporter, I'm not going to listen to Nikon. If you just put the brands aside and just go there with an open mind, I'm sure you're going to learn something new. There is always something that you can learn from each other, from these photographers. They're working in the field. There's always something they can bring to the table. You just have to go with a fresh eye, and yeah, just be as open as possible, and don't go there like, you know, like earlier I talked about photographers with ego, right? I'm better than everyone else. I know everything. What do you know? I take better photographs than you. If you go with that kind of mindset, yeah, you're not gonna improve, right? You'll never be better. So yeah, so this is the YL content creators experience. I think if you guys are free, please check it out. I think most of the talks and events will happen in the weekends. All right, pretty much that's it, I think. nothing else to share. The next will be my photo sharing already. So today's topic is pretty straightforward. Just want to throw the question out there. What is your favorite Micro Four Thirds camera? For me, I would say if I need a camera for work, my favorite camera will still be EM1 Mark II. It is super reliable. It has weather sealing, takes wonderful video. Image quality is still top notch. In fact, it still produces one of the best image quality for Micro Four Thirds camera even today. If you check Photons to Photons website, DxO Mark, EM1 Mark II is still ranked the highest, even compared to the latest cameras like from GH7 or OM1 or G9 Mark II. Trust me, EM1 Mark II is not any less than any of these other cameras when it comes to high ISO and dynamic range. It's still one of the best cameras out there. And yeah, it has all the features that I need. It's fast enough, 18 frames per second burst in electronic shutter, 60 frames per second burst for single autofocus, and autofocus is super reliable, especially single autofocus, which I use a lot. And if you shoot in low light, low contrast situation, I think EM1 Mark II is still very, very hard to beat. Electronic viewfinder is a joy to use. The image stabilization is really reliable. The camera has one of the best handling that I have used in a lot of cameras that I have tested, even better than the newer OM1 if you want to ask me. And overall, I feel that the EM1 Mark II is my favorite camera if I need a camera to do jobs, to deliver to clients, let's say to shoot weddings, events, stage, mini concert, lifestyle products, portraits. That's the camera that I'll go to. If I were not to do any job, let's say I don't have a client, I don't have to worry about whether I get the shot or not, then if I were just to do my own shutter therapy sessions, let's say I've quit professional photography. I'm not taking any clients anymore. I'm not shooting as my main job, right? That's not my main income source anymore. Then my favorite camera would be the EM1 Original. I think I still want something with a substantial grip, but the EM1 Original is still smaller and lighter than the EM1 Mark II. I definitely need a built-in electronic viewfinder. I love that this has a tilt screen compared to the swivel screen on the EM1 Mark II. So for my street photography, the tilt screen is definitely better. Autofocus is good enough. Image quality, I know, is not as good as EM1 Mark II. There's like one stop or more gap in terms of high ISO and dynamic range difference. Definitely resolution is also about 20% less, 25% less if you compare it to EM1 Mark II. But image stabilization is also not as good, but to me it's good enough for what I need to do. I don't need like super high resolution file. I'm not shooting in extremely harsh condition. I'm not gonna do like impossibly high ISO scenarios. Later you'll see, even with the EM1, I was shooting in a relatively dim situation, not using a very fast lens. I still can get some really good shots for myself, not for clients, for myself. I was very happy with those shots. I'll share those with you guys. And that's my take. Of course, I have a lot of favorite cameras. I love my EPL7, I love my EM10, I love my GM5, but if I have to pick, it will be the EM1 Mark II for jobs, and if I'm not doing jobs anymore, then EM1 Original. For travel, as we all have different cameras for different purposes, right? For travel, I'm more willing to compromise. I don't really care about like image quality or image stabilization or weather sealing or anything. For travel, I'll pick GM1 or GM5 if I can get my hands on one, but I don't have the GM5. I'll pick my GM1 Panasonic. Smallest camera, I'll chuck in some prime, really small primes like 25 1.8, 45 1.8, and the kit lens 1232, and I'm good to go. I can go anywhere, take some fantastic shots with the GM1. That's purely for travel, right? For everything else, EM1 Original, the OMD EM1. Yeah, but I'm still a working photographer, so I can't just pretend like I can use the GM1 and the obsolete EM1 for my jobs, right? Of course, my current tool is EM1 Mark II. Yeah, please share in the chat what's your favorite Micro Four Thirds camera. It can be more than one camera. Doesn't have to be just one. Andrew, if you're listening, you can list your favorites. Plural. I've listed 3. Hey, that's fair, right? That's fair, right? Let's get to the chat. As usual, I will respond to members first, and members will be highlighted in green. Your name will be highlighted in green, and there's a star badge next to your name. Gregory says, I shot a lot of sports in my youth, still had to plan, anticipate, and capture the moment. I did okay. Oh, not questioning your ability, but yeah, I think like, this is also the case where a lot of people keep saying that, hey, previously people just used manual focus and they got the shot. Like, why we all complain about autofocus, right? Or people say, oh, previously we never had image stabilization. Like, why are you guys complaining about, if no image stabilization, then it's like at the end of the world? Or people say like, oh, no, previously like it's not digital. We all shoot film. Like, you all have it easy, right? But as the technology progresses, as things get better, and you realize that there are some things that are already the norm, and it helps you so much in securing the shot. It's like insurance, right? And if you know that this feature can guarantee you the shot, or this feature can boost your confidence by 500% in getting the shot, wouldn't you want this feature? Wouldn't you want to use that feature? And especially if you're working for a client, if you're shooting for someone and that person is paying you. Like, okay, let's just stick with bursts since we're talking about bursts, right? Let's say talking to a client, let's say shooting for a client, and you need to nail some critical moments of sports, for example. And don't you think that by having, say, at least 20 frames per second is better than just 2 or 3 frames per second? And don't you think that your client will appreciate more photographs delivered to them that is in focus and capturing the decisive moment? I think we should use the tool that can enable us to get the job done, right? So yeah. Rowan Capture says, the stuff I shoot moves fast, mostly over 70 kilometers per hour. Wow, what is the stuff that you shoot? That is scary. Gary says, pros had bulk film bags and held 300 frames. I guess their labs could handle 11 meters of film. I think if you need to get it done, you get it done, right? Whatever it takes to get it done. Yeah. Gillette says, question, the OM3 is fairly new. For Florida next week, do I take with 75-300 for nature, large birds, or Z5 28-400? Also taking 17 f1.8 for street, if Nikon then 40. So you're asking whether you want the OM3 or Z50. In this situation, the OM3 has a serious advantage that the Z50 does not have, which is the image stabilization. I don't know if you've tried the OM3 and the 75-300. If you zoom all the way to 300, I'm sure you can handhold down to, say, 1/30th of a second confidently. 1/60th, no problem. But if you try the Z50 with the 28-400, if you zoom all the way to 400, I don't think you can do 1/60th or 1/50th of a second. I think that's the biggest difference between the Z50 and the OM3. It's the image stabilization. I think both have 20 megapixels, so that's not like a big deal or anything, right? So yeah, I think the biggest difference here is image stabilization. The 28-400 is stabilized, I guess, the lens, but it's still, I don't think it can come close to what the OM3 can do if you really have tried the image stabilization. Well, do a quick test, Juliet. You have both cameras and lenses with you, right? You can just shoot out your window. If it's daytime, don't try it at night. Daytime, shoot like across the street or something. Target a tree or whatever. It has to be far away. Let's just say you want to shoot nature and large birds, right? Zoom all the way to 300 or 400, depending on Z50 or OM3, and then try to slow down the shutter speed as much as you can, and see which one is you're more comfortable holding, and see which one makes you more confident in getting the shot. And that's the combination that you should bring with you, right? Yeah. All right, let's see. James says, good morning, Robin. Hey, James, how are you? From Philly. Enjoyed a great photo walk, shutter therapy with the E300. I recently picked it up at the flea market. Had a blast just taking photos. That's amazing. And E300 has like it's one of the few or maybe the only DSLRs that has the side flipping mirror, right? It's not the normal pentaprism, it's side flipping, which is very interesting. Rowan Capture says, my dream microphotos camera is the OM3. The subject detection will be handy, and will like a small camera again. Probably won't upgrade for another 3 years. Probably. That's amazing. I'm sure you can get the OM3, right? It's in the market now. Yeah. Andrew says, if I really have to choose, then it's GX9 for most of my shoots. For casual, GM1 and AP3. Always attached with the 25 1.8. Yeah. 25 1.8 for the win, Andrew. Love this lens to bits. And the last I checked, Suntix also loves that lens. He was using that lens during the Scott Kelby walk, just one lens, right? So yeah. Okay, let's see. Juliet says, Robin, do you use the touch to shoot focus for street photography, or do you use the electronic viewfinder? For me, it depends, but curious because touch to focus on some cameras are really slow. The touch to focus on the Olympus cameras are super fast and super reliable. Either you use touch to shoot or just touch to change the focusing point. Doesn't really matter. It's super responsive and it's almost fail-proof, at least for Olympus cameras. And I tried that from time to time. I know my friend Raja Putra uses that all the time, but I have come to still want to use the shutter button. I don't know, like when I have a camera, I just want to press that shutter button. There's nothing beats the satisfaction of that click, or when you press and the camera clicks. It's just so satisfying and addictive. I don't know, like, I hope it makes sense, right? I can make the touch to shoot work. I can, and I've tried. It's good enough, definitely. If you want to use it, definitely go for it. But yeah, I just love the shutter button so much. I know my answer doesn't make sense. Like, oh dear, something dropped. Let me just fix this. I know my answer doesn't make sense, Juliet, but hey, you are humans. Sometimes we are not logical creatures, right? Andrew says, I can say my favorite micro four thirds lens is 25-1.8. That is definitely singular. Yeah, I love that lens as well. Juliet says, thanks for the excellent advice. No worries, I'll do the test, but I suspect you're right, and I'll take the OM3 with the image stabilization. That's the issue with the Z50. If it has image stabilization, I would probably buy one by now, because that is a fantastic camera, right? It's like, I mean, I can forgive that it doesn't have weather sealing, and I can forgive a lot of other things, but yeah, without image stabilization, it's just I don't know. I've had the image stabilization in all my cameras for so long. I just really need the image stabilization. Yeah. Let's get to the members chat. I'm a little bit behind. Antrik says, hello Robin. Hey Antrik, how are you? Nice to see you. Vibakamoka says, for street, I love the EM10. For more serious stuff, EM5 Mark II. Yeah, EM10 here. There you go, EM10. My EM10 is still alive, but like everything is falling apart and peeling off already. I can still make it work, no worries. Astrom says, my best new camera experience was realizing how much image stabilization had improved from the original EM5 when I bought my EM5 Mark II. Definitely. And like you have the EM5 and then EM5 Mark II, right? And now like the new cameras like OM1, image stabilization has just improved so much more. Chuck says, EM1 Mark III, for the price you can get them used today, they are certainly a steal. Definitely. EM1 Mark III, EM1 Mark II, amazing cameras. I gave my EM1 Mark III away to a friend because I received the OM1 as a gift. So I thought like the only sensible way to pay it forward is to give my highest value camera away. At that time, it was EM1 Mark III, so I gave it to a friend who is deserving. Fajar says, maybe how do you manage all photo files since first your photo taken until now? What is your type of backup? I probably is not the best person to give this advice. I can tell you what I do, but I don't encourage you to follow what I do. So when I come, okay, so there are two separate situations. One is for jobs. One is for just personal shutter therapy sessions, right? For jobs, when I come back from a job, I will transfer my images to the computer and immediately transfer the images to an external hard drive. So I have 3 backups. I'm paranoid like that because, hey, I was an engineer. I need backup to backups, right? So I will not delete anything from the SD card until I'm done editing, which will take a few days. So I have 3 copies, one on the card, one on the computer, and one on the external hard drive. Once I have sent my images to the client, then the card will be formatted and used for different shoots for the next job. Then the images that I have edited, then of course periodically every month I will back it up to the external hard drive, but the raw files will immediately be backed up to the external hard drive when I got home. Does that make sense? That is for my jobs. For my personal stuff, I'm less strict. If I lose the shots, I lose the shots. I don't care. It's not the end of the world. I don't make money from my personal shoots. So when I come home, I transfer the images to the computer and I work on it, and that's it. I don't have an external backup, and I don't even care about the card. I'll just reuse the card immediately on the same day if I have to. So I just have one copy on my computer. Nothing has happened yet. And every month I will back up everything to an external hard drive, and I have a lot of external hard disks, right? And they are backed up chronologically. So like January 2024, February 2024, March 2024. Then inside the, let's say March 2024, then there will be like, Christine and Jonathan, the wedding, or shoot at Calpac for this musical, or street shooting session in Pudu #1, or macro session in Bukit Gasing, or then I'll organize everything within that month, right? So it's chronological, backed up, and I only have a singular backup. After I've transferred to external hard disk, I deleted everything on my computer. It's just one backup. If it dies, it dies. I have hard disks that have failed before. I don't care, because these photographs, I'm not saying that they mean nothing to me, but I mean, if I really want, I'll just go out and take more photographs. I don't really care. And the photographs that I have edited, the ones that I have already edited in JPEG, the one that is curated, not the raw files. The raw files, I have it in my external hard disk. The one I've already edited, I will bring it up to cloud. I use Google Photos, right? So anytime, anywhere in the world, let's say I want to pull out a job from, let's say, Jason and Carol wedding from 2014, for example. That's 10 years ago. I have a folder online for those shots that's already been edited and curated. Or my OM3 review, the photographs I've done for the OM3 review, which was done earlier this year, which included some bird shots, which I don't do a lot, and inside macro at Bukit Fraser's Hill. I have a folder for that as well in Google Photos, right? So those are for easy access, and just in case my clients during meetings, they want to look at my portfolio or they want to look at some sample photographs, I can pull these images from Google Photos and quickly share them, usually on a tablet. Some tips: if you want to share photographs with clients, don't show it on your phone, because your phone screen is very tiny. At least have like a 10-inch tablet. That will look a lot better. Or prints. If you have prints, even better, right? So I hope that answers your question, Farjar. Yumi says, hi Robin, everyone. Hey Yumi, how are you? I'm doing all right. Thank you so much. Martin says, my favorite, and until now, is the EM10 Mark II. Awesome. Yeah, EM10 is a wonderful camera. Siprash says, is there any Lumix Micro Four Thirds camera you recommend other than the G9 Mark II for photography mainly? The latest one will definitely be G9 Mark II, but if you want to explore quirkier side of things, I think Panasonic makes a lot of cool products for Micro Four Thirds. LX100 is one where it's like a really compact camera, can't change lens, but it has a Micro Four Thirds size sensor, and the zoom lens is very bright. It's 24 to 70, f1.7 to f2.8. So bright lens, small package, large Micro Four Thirds size sensor. It has electronic viewfinder built in. I think it's a fantastic camera. Or you can explore something like the GM5 or GM1 if you can find one in the used market at a good price. I know the price has gone up significantly because of the demand. But yeah, these are fantastic cameras. I think GM1 is definitely worth looking at because it's the world's smallest interchangeable lens camera. And you can change lens, you can use any of the Micro Four Thirds lenses. I'll probably suggest using smaller lenses, like prime lenses like 14 f2.5 or 45 1.8. Those are really small lenses to keep like the minimal setup and the footprint really small. So yeah, my recommendation to you would be like, these are non-serious things, by the way. Like I probably wouldn't ask you to use the LX100 and the GM1 to do jobs. Like G9 Mark II, that's a workhorse. Like you can use that for video production. You can use that to shoot a wedding, right? Definitely not GM1. That's like more like for street photography, casual travel, everyday use, kind of everyday carry kind of camera, right? So yeah, there are a lot of things to look at. Also like a GX8. I think that's the fan favorite. A lot of people love GX8 from Panasonic. Yeah. Xmina says, favorite EM5 Mark III. Awesome. I used the EM5 Mark III for the longest time. And half of the videos that you can see on this channel were definitely shot on the EM5 Mark III. Yeah, only recently I switched over to EM1 Mark II. Yumi says, my favorite. Oh, when I say recently, I think it's like maybe 2 years now. The timeline is all jumbled up when the pandemic happened and time is not linear anymore. So anyway, Yumi says my favorite Micro Four Thirds I own EM1 Mark II and EM5 Mark II. Live composite and focus stacking my favorite features. Awesome, all the Mark IIs, right? Yeah. JJ Mars says EM5 Mark II. A lot of EM5 Mark II lovers here. That's amazing. Quint says, my wife and I are using EM1 Mark II, mine with the 17 1.2 and hers 1240 f2.8. Our first Micro Four Thirds system, and we adore them so much for both video and stills. Fantastic. I love my EM1 Mark II, and I have the 1240 f2.8, although now the lens is out with a friend. A friend is currently loaning the lens, so I don't have the 12 to 40 at this moment. But yeah, I've used the 17 1.2 before. That's a fantastic, fantastic lens. Kin says, and you spell my name right. Oh, wow. Quinn. Okay. Wow, the odds of that. I should buy a lottery. One Man Ben says, hello, GM1. Yes, GM1. I said that's my favorite if I were to go travel and just bring like a simplest setup possible, right? Small as possible. Raphael says, hello from France. After 6 Olympus cameras and a GH5, the most fun is still the EM10 Mark II. If they didn't change the exterior, just added a 26 megapixel sensor with the autofocus from EM1 Mark III. Hopefully they do that, right? They should definitely bring back the EM10 series. I've talked about this before on my main long form video. I've mentioned that they should bring back the EM10 series camera. Even during my live streams, there were a few sessions where I talk about, hey, OM system, what happened? Where's your entry-level cameras like EM10? I think they should definitely bring this back. I think there's like a huge demand for it. I think the camera will do so well today in the market. Definitely, right? AK47 says, Harbin from Putrajaya. Hey, AK47. You are like probably half an hour drive away from me. I'm in Bukit Jalil, by the way. Har says, good morning, Robin and Chad. Hey, Har, how are you? Torfik says, hi Robin, EM1 Mark II and EM5 Mark II, probably the most iconic cameras of the Micro Four Thirds cameras. I got one honor mention, that the GX7, my Pan F for non-rich. Pan F is fantastic, but I have no love for it. I can't bond with it. I don't know. I know a lot of people love it. And also GH7, I still have one video left on the GH7, although I've solved the camera already. And the video will come out in a few weeks. I did a POV street shooting with the GH7. Also, I can't bond with the GH7. I don't know why. The Pan F and the maybe there's something with me and rangefinder style cameras. They just don't gel. Maybe I just prefer like the traditional DSLR kind of look, right? With the proper gripping and the hum and the instrument viewfinder in the center, not all the way to the side kind of thing. Like proper DSLR kind of form factor. I think that works for me. Yeah. I don't know. We're all different and we are allowed to like different things. Like you're allowed to love the GX7 and the Pan F, right? But yeah, to me, I just can't bond with these cameras. Vistrom says, I have the EM10 Mark II since 10 years. Wow, it has been 10 years. Oh, you're right. I didn't realize that EM10 Mark II has been 10 years. It's such a good camera. I still can't justify getting a new one. I use the old analog film cameras instead because because of the color. And shooting experience matters to me more. Yeah, I think a lot of people don't understand that it's the process, right? It's not so much of the end result. It's like when you're doing photography, you have to enjoy every single process. That's why you do it, right? It's not just getting the photograph. It's a journey, right? And yeah, the process itself is as important as the photograph. Enzo says, we don't need new cameras, only new fast zoom lenses for versatility. A new 1435 f2 would produce awesome results on all Micro Four Thirds cameras. I'm waiting for a lens like that. Well, you can find a used 1435 now from the Zuko version. DSLR, I don't think it's going for too expensive, and adapt it back on the OM1, OM Mark II. Just make sure that the camera that you're using has face detection autofocus and it can utilize the lens autofocus, and it should work fairly well. It should be really fast, no problem. You can you have like, I know that lens is not suitable for bird detection, but like for human face and eye tracking, you can use that on that 1435 f2 lens. Hike says, sorry if I got your name wrong, Hike. For me, my baby's GH6, GH7. GH7 constant autofocus improves a lot. Photo burst 75 frames per second, 60 frames per second, 20 frames per second, 100 megapixels handheld, high-res shot, video. I think like when it comes to, okay, I understand where you're coming from. You love the camera for the features. And I don't necessarily love the camera for the features. I love the camera because of other things like, hey, how it feels in hand, or like how small, how convenient it is, like the GM1 for travel, or how reliable the camera is, right? And I rarely love a camera for features. I'm not denying this, right? Of course, the latest and greatest camera, which GH7 is, will give you the best burst, will give you the best megapixels, will give you the best everything, but that doesn't qualify the camera to be a favorite in my books, right? But if it is your favorite, then I'm not gonna question you, because you are free to choose whichever camera that you love. But for me, it's like, yeah, you can put a Canon R6 Mark III in front of me, or the coming rumored Sony A7 Mark V, or any other like a Leica or Hasselblad camera, or Fuji GFX 100S, 100 megapixels minimum format. You can put any of this like amazing, huge megapixel, super fast, latest, you can shoot with ISO 1 million kind of camera in front of me, but do they become favorite? No. It takes time to love a camera, and sometimes even an old camera from 10, 20 years ago can be your favorite camera because you've spent time using the camera, you have bonded with the camera, and the camera has given you so many good results over the years, and you just enjoy the camera. Like one example, like OM1 is superior compared to EM1 Mark II. OM1 on paper has better stabilization, near sensor is faster, right? Way faster burst rate compared to what the EM1 Mark II can do. Has better electronic viewfinder, can do better handheld high-res shot, is faster, has live ND, which the EM1 Mark II doesn't have. It has much better pro capture mode. Everything's improved, right? Overall, the camera is better, but I prefer to use EM1 Mark II. In terms of OM1 and EM1 Mark II, EM1 Mark II, to me, is a better camera. It's my favorite. But on paper, on technical terms, OM1 is superior. So just because I can throw in all the technical specs, oh, it has this, it has that, it has this, it has blah, 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 to me, it means nothing. Kamil Mariam says, among all my macro photos cameras at the moment, it's still the EM5 Mark II. Waiting to have my EM1 Mark III. Awesome. I think from EM5 Mark II to EM1 Mark III, that is a massive jump. Yeah, that'll be interesting. You'll definitely see the improvement in everything. Nan says, my favorite macro photos camera is the EM10 Mark IV with the 1442 kit lens and 40-150 budget zoom that I just purchased recently. I've been an Olympus user since the film days. That's awesome. And both fantastic lens. I think the 1442 kit lens is amazing. You can take some fantastic shots with it. And the 40-150 f4 Pro is also a fantastic, fantastic lens. Yeah. SG Hound says, EM1 also has handheld starlight mode, which the EM1 Mark II doesn't. A lifesaver. I think like I don't know why they removed all the scene modes away from the EM1 Mark II, and I wouldn't call it a lifesaver. I think it makes a difference in some situations, but I think that if you can get away with a tripod or proper shooting technique, even if you increase the ISO a little bit or rely on the image stabilization, you still can get away with very good low light shots, because the handheld starlight mode will require you to boost the ISO numbers to very high. And it works with high ISO, right? ISO 800, 1600 or 3200, all the way up to 6400 or beyond. And at such high numbers, yes, using handheld starlight mode, you don't see much traces of noise, but the detail retrieval is also not very good, because at such high level of ISO, you already lost the details in the first place. The camera can get rid of noise, but the camera cannot generate or recover details that are already lost due to the use of very high ISO. So I would rather use the proper technique of not relying on very high ISO numbers if I can get away with, say, ISO 400 or 800 instead of using ISO 6400, chosen by the handheld starlight. And by the way, if you use handheld starlight mode, if you've watched my video, you know know that you can't choose the ISO numbers. And there are situations where you could have used lower ISO numbers if there's nothing moving in the scene. I understand why the high ISO numbers is being used, because it's trying to get at least 1/60th of a second. So if you're shooting like moving subjects, or let's say a portrait of a human, so there's no blur, right? But let's say there's nothing moving. Instead of using ISO 6400, you can get away with ISO 400 using the EMR Mark II with the powerful image stabilization. With that situation, I think the ISO 400 on the EMR Mark II still wins against the handheld starlight mode on the original EM1, if you get what I mean. Like, not all situations. I know some situations the handheld starlight mode is a lifesaver, definitely, like what you said, but only in some situations. Yeah, and this could have been easily rectified if Olympus allowed us to change the ISO numbers when we use the handheld starlight mode, which we can't. I don't know why we can't do anything. It's just like everything is set by the camera, which is, I don't understand why. Like, no, you can't choose, right? So that's the biggest problem. So anyway, number 6 says, I like the GS7 series for travel and street, but if conditions are rainy, then the EM5. In between these two, the mighty EM10 Mark II. All right. EM10 Mark II is definitely one of the many favorites we've seen here. Kamen Maram says, I still love my EPL6. Started with the EPL6. Gear acquisition syndrome for Micro Four Thirds starts with the EPL6. I actually did, so technically EPL6, fun fact, EPL6 was very similar to EPL5, right? And they did not bring EPL6 into Malaysia until much later because it's too similar, and they would try to sell off the EPL5. Doesn't make sense to have EPL5 and EPL6. If you have EPL6, then you don't sell EPL5. So they're trying to clear the EPL5 first, and technically there's no difference if you have EPL5, EPL6. And I remember that time I was already involved with Olympus, and I was shooting. So for my reviews, oh my goodness, back then I put so much effort in my camera reviews. When I was reviewing the EPL5, I was shooting a wedding with that camera. I used the camera to shoot a real wedding job, a paid shoot, by the way, and I showed the photographs. A few things happened. The client didn't realize that hundreds of thousands of people will view the wedding photos, and they were not happy. So they asked me to take down all the shots. So I was like, fine. Well, client, right? I mean, although we've agreed that these photographs will be shown in my review, but they didn't realize the scale of how many people will see those shots. I think they want some privacy. I have to respect that. They're my clients. They paid me, so I took them down. There's one thing that happened. Second thing was that that was perhaps the most difficult job that I had to do, because looking back now, I should have just get my friend to do the job, because I fell sick during that job. That was the only very few times in my life that I was sick in a job. I was so sick. I had fever, very high fever. I don't remember having flu or cough, just fever. I was very uncomfortable, and I was drowsy all the time. I have headaches, and I was very weak. I know it was a struggle for me to complete the shoot, and I swallowed Panadol. Panadol is paracetamol, I think. I swallowed some medicine just to keep me going throughout the day and night. If you're in Malaysia, you know that wedding is a full day ordeal from morning until midnight. It was a nightmare. I was young and stupid. I was just young and stupid and ambitious. I wanted to do a wedding to prove that, hey, Micro Four Thirds camera can do a wedding. Of course it can. The shots came out all right. The clients were happy with the shots, thankfully. I know I could have done better. I didn't do my best. That also has bugged me until today, because if I can't perform 100%, then why am I there? Why would I do the job? I should have gotten another friend who can do a better job for my clients. So anyway, lesson learned. Like, if I'm sick, probably now today I will just get a friend to fill me in. I have friends who should be available unless everyone is booked. Then I have to do it. I should have talked to the clients better, right? Like, hey, you know, my blog has this amount of views. I should be more transparent, right? Instead of I publish my shots and then they say, oh, wow, we have like so many people looking at our photographs. They're not comfortable with that. A lot of things I learned as I go along. This was like, you know how long it was ago. EPL5, EPL6 is more than 10 years ago. So yeah. ALC says, I just bought a used EPL8 with 14-150 Mark II for $250. That is an absolute steal. I agree with you. Wow, if I can find it for $250, I will buy it as well. EPL8 and 14-150. The 14-150 lens itself is worth about $200 to $250 alone. Like here in Malaysia, right? Alone. That costs about $200 to $250 alone. So that EPL8 is basically a free camera for you thrown in. Ho says, my favorite OMD is, of course, my EM5 Mark II. Wow, a lot of people love the EM5 Mark II. Not the perfect camera, it can't do everything, but it's substantial, nice ergonomic, easy to use, and grab and go. I can tell a bit of story about EM5 Mark II. So I went to Hoi An in Vietnam, which is not far from Da Nang, for my training for EM5 Mark II, because EM5 Mark II was launched when I was working for Olympus. I think it was launched in 2014. I joined the company in 2013. So I was flown to Hoi An for this training session, and we had Japanese marketing and engineers, marketing executive, maybe manager or head. He was very high in the marketing. So he came and gave us a training. And it was interesting because so I can share a few things. So one thing that I noticed was this camera was the first camera in the world to have pixel shift, meaning that high-res shot, right? Not handheld, but tripod. So the camera has to be still. So the sensor was being moved 8 times, and all the images are being merged together to form a composite that gives about 64 megapixels raw file, but you technically get about 40 megapixels resolution. From 16 megapixels, you get about equivalent 40 megapixels after that pixel shift method. And they were very careful. So they said, this is not the main feature of the camera. It is a feature that allows you to capture high resolution shots for non-moving subjects. And they were very, very careful. They said, do not tell people that this camera can take 40 megapixel image. This camera is a 16 megapixel camera, but there's an option for you to go high res if you need to, and it works extremely well. And it shows how conservative and how careful of Olympus not to overstate their or overpromise. They will always tell you something, and when you actually try it, it's actually better than what they claim. Like the image stabilization, when they tell you it's really effective, it's really freaking effective. Like weather sealing, when they tell you our camera is weather sealed, it's really confidently weather sealed, right? It's not like, oh, I tell you something and you try it and you'll get disappointed. And that to me, I was really impressed. I was like, wow, like they could have gone the other way. They could have shouted to the world, hey, you know, our camera can take 40 megapixels. You can rival the resolution of full frame cameras. At the time, the highest resolution full frame camera was 36 megapixels. I think it was the D800 from Nikon. So there was always the goal, right, to match full frame. They can say, oh, we can fight full frame now, we have this resolution, but they don't go that route. They try not to cheat the customers. They don't ghost you, or they don't try to oversell something or overpromise, and then when you actually try to test it, and hey, it's not the same thing as what they're promising. So that to me, they earn my respect for doing that. I was like, wow, they thought this through, and I really respected them for that. All right, time check. It is already past 11, 2 minutes past 11. And let me see if I have, wow, I have a lot of chat. No worries. I'll put a pause on the chat here. Let me drink some water. I'll stay hydrated. And I'm going to share my first set of photographs. All right. And coffee. Is there some coffee left? Okay. The first set of photographs were taken, I know, shift things a bit, with this lens. This is the Panasonic 14-140. Right, you can zoom this. Just show you that it zooms. Right, this is Panasonic 14-140. There you go. And it was taken with 2 cameras. One EM10. I'm gonna tell you which photos were taken with EM10, and but the first set was taken with this EM1. So let me see. There. Right. So put it on EM1 first. EM1 and EM10. Let me just put this back here. So I understand a lot of people will have different ways of doing street photography, different recommendations. Some people are very strict. They say, oh, you must use wide angle, you must use prime lens, you should just stick with like 28 or 35 and go as close as possible. I don't think there's right and wrong when it comes to street photography. And if you find a certain technique or a certain rule that works for you, go ahead. You can stick with your rule, do whatever that works for you and makes you happy, right? And get the shots that you like. But to me, I am not so restrictive. I've always said that my favorite lens is the Olympus 25 1.8 for my street photography. I got a lot of nice shots with this lens, but I'm not so narrow-minded that I will not use any other lens. And that is also something that we all have to be a little bit careful. Just because you like certain things and you find something's work for you, it doesn't mean that it applies to everyone. Like everyone has to follow your rule. And that's something that is very toxic in the photography community. It's like, oh, I find that 35mm is the best for street photography. Anyone else who uses something different or disagrees with me, they're all wrong. I think that kind of mindset will not help you. It will not improve your photography a single bit. I think we should always try to experiment something that we don't like and move out of our comfort zone. And one of the things that I don't do a lot is to use a zoom lens for my street photography. And this is one of the special cases because I wanted to test this 14 to 140 Panasonic Super Zoom. I brought it out to do some street photography and I got some cool shots. And yeah, and this is the kind of thing that I have to remind myself not to be overly critical and be open-minded and accept that, hey, every lens has their purpose. If you want to use ultra wide angle, if you want to use fisheye, if you want to use a super telephoto lens, you want to use whatever lens that you like, go for it. There's no right and wrong, right? So this is like the first shot of the Diabomi building, which is one of the prominent buildings in Kuala Lumpur. And I like to play with colors. You guys know that already, right? Okay, these photographs were already shown before in my video talking about Super Zoom, the 14 to 140. I'm just recycling them. I don't have time to make new photographs. Last Saturday, I was busy with an event. Sunday, I have a job, so I don't have time to do shutter therapy. Recently, these few days, I've been busy with other projects, so I have to recycle some old shots. Hope you guys are okay with that. I like this shot, and I don't mind showing it again because you can see the bright blue in the background, and I like the red lanterns at the top hanging on the shot, and I like that this is morning directional light. It casts the shadows of the lantern on the background, and then it's a man walking by with the red shirt, and the red shirt matches the red lanterns. Everything just comes together nicely. Right, and I like shooting in the morning for all these reasons. The directional light, the highlight and shadow play with everything, and because of the directional light, the colors also pop. And this may not be true to where you are. I think other countries like Japan and Australia, you get this light more than us. Like your golden hour is longer than us. It's not fair. Our golden hour is very short. So yeah. And I like to match colors. Love that the headband or bandana that he's wearing is red in color, and it matches the red letterbox in the background. Just put in, like, you can just move yourself and align this until everything fits, right? So I just love to match things together. And a portrait of a stranger. I do this all the time. Go near people, say hi, can I take a photograph? I took the shot. And this was taken with a zoom lens. Of course, you can blur off the background using a zoom lens and have a compressed background, so the background is less distracting, or there's less for you to deal with in your composition. Yeah. And I love reflection, I love mirrors, I love patterns, lines. I also love color, bright color. I love repetition, texture. So this shot has everything inside the frame. Sometimes you don't have to take the whole subject to tell a story. Sometimes just partial, hide something to then that image will have some mystery. Like you don't know how the cat looks like, but you know it's a cat, right? And I love taking photographs like in the morning when there's harsh sun. Usually when it's cloudy, that's when I'm like, I have no mood to take photographs. When the lighting is harsh, I was always very excited. I was very thrilled. So this is like a little bit of play with highlight and shadow. So the parts where the harsh sun was shining on was lit, and then everything else is in shadow, which is very interesting. This, of course, a shop selling clothes, right? And those are mannequins. And portrait of another man. Yeah, this guy looks really fierce. He's the security working at Red Scale, and apparently they don't like people taking the photographs of that place. I have friends being thrown out of the place, literally. They were asked to leave the place. I don't know why. I think like if the photographers don't cause any problems or they're just taking photos for fun, then why are you being such an ass, right? But no, this guy is not one of them. He's nice. So he was standing outside of the building. So of course you can take photos outside of the building, but once you step inside, it's a totally different story. So yeah, again, why I like this shot is the morning light, the side light causes a lot of drama. There's highlight and shadow being at play here. And yeah, Merdeka 118 building with all the lanterns zigzagging across. So there's multiple layers. I like the buildings are yellow. So you have like 3 different colors in this one dominant frame. So there's yellow, there's red, there's blue. And I like that it's a clear sky with no clouds. So you can see the Merdeka 118 because the windows are reflecting the sky. So if the sky is cloudy, then the building will not be as blue as it is. So it's reflecting the clear sky, so it's perfectly blue. So the building is the second tallest building in the world, and we have like interplay of colors. So there's blue opposing the reds of the lanterns and shooting up. And that's the wonderful thing about using a super zoom. If I want wide angle, I have wide angle. 28 should be wide enough for most wide angle shots, especially for street. You don't want to go too wide as well. And if I want to go really, really far, want to zoom into something, one detail, I can do that as well. This is a different series already. So now this one was still the same lens, 14-140 Panasonic, but these shots, this second series were taken with the EM10 original. So it's 14-140 and the EM10 during Chinese New Year time last year. And this is very interesting. This was shot at Tianho Temple, one of the popular or one of the large temples in Malaysia, and that place is amazing. I remember it was extremely hot and I was waiting for a friend, and that friend was 1 hour late. Yes, 1 hour late. That's Malaysian timing, by the way. And I was so bored, so I started to go around to places and take so many photographs of the place. This is what you do, right? When you're bored, you have a camera, you start taking photographs. Yeah, this basically just, I like that it's like 3 layers. Do you see the 3 different layers? So there's a layer of lanterns, of course. I intentionally put it at the lower half of the frame, and then there's the layer of the sky and the layer of the clouds. So yeah, just like making all these layers within one frame. And you can do that because you can zoom. Like I can't do this with my 25 1.8, right? I can't do this with a wide angle lens. You can only do this with a zoom lens, which is pretty cool. It allows you to do different things, right? So sometimes let's not be too close-minded about, hey, just stick with one lens and, you know. And yeah, layers. So you have lanterns. And one tip that I love to give people is move. You have to move. Like this, I have to climb the stairs to the top floor. I think 4 or 5 floors up to the highest level. So you can see the roof. You can see the overhanging lanterns. And you can see the city skyline at the back. So you have layers of lanterns, you have the roof structure, the traditional roof structure of the temple, you have some greenery, forest in the foreground, and the buildings, the Kuala Lumpur city skyline all the way at the back. So layers. You can only get this shot if you climb high enough. So you've got to move, right? And just play with different layers, the roof structure as well as the lanterns. Yeah, just to see some details. Again, making use of the zoom lens. I can't do this normally with my normal 25mm or 50 equivalent. And yeah, just place a person wearing red, thankfully. Well, during Chinese New Year, it's not that difficult to find people wearing red because for Chinese, red is an auspicious color. It brings luck and joy. So, so this meant obviously he wants to attract fortune and luck. So it's wearing red. A lot of people are wearing red. So, but I just want one person, right? So I found one person, singled him out, and put him in the middle of the crack between the opening of the 2 rows of the lanterns. So red versus red. Yeah, and those round shadows were cast by afternoon sun directly from the top, cast all the way down from the lanterns. And if you want these patterns on the floor, it has to be high noon, like right around 12. Maybe not, it doesn't have to be 12, maybe 11 to 1. you get this. You go too late, then the shadow will be all the way to the side. And I just wait for someone to pass by so I can see this organic person versus all these circular patterns. I love patterns, right? Patterns, circles. And I think it's last few shots already. And again, different layers. So you can see, this is where you can see where this came from. This is exactly where it was. It's like the lanterns overhanging at the top and the sunlight coming directly from the top, which is this afternoon. It shines, it casts the shadow directly on the floor, on the walkway. Again, layers, right? You have the lanterns, you have the people walking underneath, and then you have the roof, the structure of the temple and everything. And of course, I think this is the last shot already. Lanterns hanging, and the same man just now wearing red. I take multiple angles, multiple shots. So yeah, you have layers here. You have like the floor with the shadows cast by the lanterns. You have the man down there wearing red, and you have all the overhanging red lanterns at the top. I also took some shots of Kuala Lumpur Performing Arts Centre, a mini concert, which I will share later with this 14 to 1, 140. All right. Let me drink some water again. Just want to stay hydrated. I'll get back to the chat and continue. Please continue to share what your favorite Micro Four Thirds camera is. All right. Before we do that, just to remind everyone that I have membership enabled on this channel. You can support me by just the price of a cup of coffee. You get some really cool perks in return. You have early access to all my new videos. You can watch my new videos 24 hours before everyone else. We have members-only live streams once a month. It's a private live stream where you can chat with me more intimately. You can ask questions. I can answer you without going through all the chats of non-members. Also, if you are a member, I will prioritize my responses to your comments. Whether it's in my old or new videos, I'll get to them before I reply to non-members. Also, same here, live stream. If you have a chat, I'll respond to your chat first before everyone else. I've taken down older videos that are not performing well. The reason is I want YouTube to continue to push my new videos to a wider audience. The videos will always be free. I put all my videos up for free, but if you don't watch it, if not enough people watch it, I will take them down. And if you want access to some of these videos include tips and tricks on composition, black and white photography, some insect macro photography as well to get sharp images, as well as a lot of POV street photography, and some reviews as well. They were not doing well. I've taken them down. If you want access to these videos, you can join as a member. You can have full access to these older videos. If you don't want to support me as a member, there are other ways you can support me. Also, this channel, you can buy me a cup of coffee using this link, or you can contribute directly to my PayPal if you prefer to use PayPal for any transactions, or you can buy from my affiliate links. All links in the description below on how you can support me. Any contribution, any support goes a long way. Will definitely encourage me to do more and share as much as I can here with you guys. For those who have contributed, for the members especially, for those who have bought me coffee using this link or donated through PayPal or bought from my affiliate links, thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate you guys. And yeah, without you guys, there's no Robin Wong. And you've definitely encouraged me to do more, and I'll do my best to share as much as I can, creating new content here week after week. All right, let's get back to the chat. Let's get to members first. Rowan Capture says, I don't think I can leave Micro Four Thirds, specifically Olympus or OM system. Live composite, whether ceiling, the size of lenses, stabilization. Yeah. I think in terms of size, Micro Four Thirds will always win because nothing beats the having a small sensor, right? You can make everything smaller. But I'm just a bit worried that the newer Micro Four Thirds cameras are getting larger and larger unnecessarily. Like, please, Panasonic and OM system, we do need smaller cameras and lenses. Like, please continue making those small cameras and lenses. That's where your strength is, right? Yeah. Juliet says, cameras are emotional experiences for me. I love film rangefinders, but for digital, I love DSLR style, like the EM1 Mark II. It fits my hand perfectly and gets out of the way. Yeah, I know, right? It is just so much more practical and easier to use. And it makes sense, right? And it's just so much, I don't know, it just feels right in hand. And you're right, it's an emotional experience. Rowan Capture says, I was going to get a 1442 pancake to replace my 12-50, but I did the research and also found it suffers from a ribbon cable problem with my old 1442 non-pancake. Yeah, all right. Well, may I suggest you go for 12 to 40 f2.8 Pro? I think in the used market it shouldn't be that expensive at the moment, right? Ink and Barrel says, honestly, my favorite micro four thirds camera is the G9. The EM1 was a game changer for me at the time, but G9 felt like an alien piece of tech that I just never hit the limits of outside of video. I think I would have gone G9 if they have included face detection autofocus. And actually everything you can do with the G9 except for video. But even so, I wouldn't underestimate what the EM1 Mark II can do for video because, hey, all the videos on my channel will film with the EM1 Mark II, and I think that it will do a better job than G9 when it comes to autofocus. That's the only one reason why I did not go for G9. It doesn't have face detection autofocus. They fixed that, of course, in G9 Mark II, but I cannot help but wonder if they have included face detection autofocus earlier in the GH4, GH5, and G9 original, things could have been very different for Panasonic. I think, yeah, it's a little bit too late for them. Yeah. Inga Barrel says, I've seen street from 7.5mm to 400. Good street, I like 71.8 or 12.2 normally. Yeah, we can have our own favorites, right? All I'm saying is that, hey, we shouldn't be so close-minded. Like, just because I love 25.1.8 doesn't mean that everyone must use 25.1.8, right? Yeah. Gary says, Merdeka 118 is the Lily of buildings. Lily. You remember Lily, hey. Hey, funny story. So I work a lot with Lily, so it's mostly private shoots, right? We get her and we'll take portraits of her. And there was one recent OM System Malaysia event that's happening, I think 1 or 2 weeks ago. I did not mention anything here. And they hired Lily as a model for that event. I was like, what? What a coincidence. So anyways, it's nice to see, yeah, she's getting some jobs from OM System and working with the local Olympus and OM System community. So that's really nice. Yeah. Juliet says, gorgeous photos, Robin. Some of my favorites of yours. Thank you so much, Juliet. I appreciate that. Andrew says, I love Tianho Temple shots. The lanterns are interesting. I should go one day when I have the time. Very busy year end. It depends. If you want people, a lot of people, then it has to be one of those festive seasons, right? Or Chinese New Year. So my shots were taken during Chinese New Year. Like everyone's wearing red. You want red to match red, then that's the best time to go. If you don't want so many people, then maybe go during weekdays, or if you're free. I know you have a job. When there's no, I mean, some people hate people. It's fine. Doesn't matter. Like you must follow. Oh, street photography must have people. No, do whatever you like. If you don't want people, then you go during other times than Chinese New Year, right? My advice, I know this is not great because it's gonna be so hot. My advice is go during noon, like around 11 to 1, to have that shadow so you can get that lantern patterns on the floor, which is really, really dramatic. You can do a lot with that. And yeah, have fun. I think Tianho is such a nice place to shoot. I want to go back there again as well. Dan says, EM1 Mark I was my first real camera. Yep. So they'll always have a soft spot at the top for me. But EM1 Mark II is the king from performance standard. EM1 Mark I, AP09 also third and fourth for me. A5 original is still such a good camera as well. I agree with that. Roaring Capture says, is the Panasonic 100 to 300 a good lens? It's catching my attention compared to 75-300, Panasonic 5.6, Olympus is 6. No, Olympus is 6.7, not 6.3. It's 6.7. I have a video on Panasonic. Let me see if I can bring that up. I don't have the lens anymore. I kept it for a while because I bought the lens. I needed it for a job, and then I saw it off, and then I got this 75-300. So then I kept the 75-300. But if you haven't seen my video on the Panasonic 100 to 300, this is the video that I have done. Roaring Capture, please check this out later if you have not done so. I think it's a great lens. If you have a Panasonic camera body, it makes sense to use that lens. It has built-in image stabilization, so if your camera doesn't have image stabilization, then the lens really helps. Other than that, I don't think it can do much more than Olympus 75-300. I know that 5.6, 6.7, it makes a bit of difference, and you want to squeeze as much light as possible, but if you really think about it, let's say that at 6.7, you need ISO 1600, right? If you have 5.6, maybe ISO 1000. It's not even one stop, right? It's not even one full stop. So I wouldn't put too much emphasis on the 6.7 versus 5.6. But if I were to choose between image quality between these two lenses, I would say the Olympus 75-300 is slightly sharper. But what I really like about the Olympus 75-300 is it's so much smaller. It is so small. I just can't believe it can go to 300, which is equivalent to 600 at the longest end. It is insane. But image quality is very, very similar. I did say that 75-300, it's a little bit sharper, but then again, if you put two images side by side, I can't tell which one is which, to be honest. And that 6.7, 5.6 is not that big of a difference, if you really ask me, right? Dan says, I don't want to derail if it's already been discussed since I just got here, but any thoughts on Olympus Lens factory? No, it's not been discussed. Well, they just need a new factory. I don't think that's a big deal. They closed too many factories before, so I guess it's time for them to open up another one, right? Yeah, they did close a few factories when they switched over to Japan Industrial Partners or OM Digital Solutions from Olympus. Let's get to the non-members chat. Gus says, I second the EM5 Mark II, pick it because of the solid metal build and still a very capable camera. Seems like a constant favorite for a lot of people. I reviewed the camera before, I've used it many times, but I never own it. And yeah, I mean, I already have the EM1, and EM1 and EM5 Mark II is very similar. But the EM5 Mark II has some tricks. It has the pixel shift, right? High-res shot that this doesn't have. And yeah, the video capability is definitely better as well compared to the original EM1. 3 Ankif says, what's a good camera with electronic viewfinder for beginners? EM10 original or EM1 if you can find a really good one, good condition one in the used market at a good price. EM1 original or EM10 original? R says, I have a hard time. Why are you having a hard time? AOC says, EM10 Mark II good for beginners. Yes, it is definitely good for beginners. Taking back shots with 75 1.8. Why? That is a fantastic lens. I've never heard anyone had any bad shots with the 75 1.8. What's the issue? If you don't mind sharing the issues that you're facing with the 75 1.8, because at this point, I think 75 1.8 is like one of the sharpest lenses for Micro Four Thirds. So small, so compact, amazing bokeh quality. Yeah, I just love the rendering of the lens. Amazing portrait lens as well. Orex says, now that for the OM5 Mark II and the FLM3 is not compatible, what small flash I should get to make occasional macro with 60 millimeters? I wouldn't, for macro, I wouldn't use small flash. I would just go large. I'm currently using the old FL50R. I wouldn't use anything less powerful than that. But I understand first-party flash, especially from Olympus or OM system, will be extremely expensive. If you want cheaper options, there are so many options from Godox or any other third-party flashes like Yongnuo, and a lot of them offer TTL as well. I would go Godox. You can't go wrong with Godox, and with a fraction of the price, you get good flash. Yeah. Moonban says, would the EM5 Mark II be a decent upgrade from D5200, specifically for handheld shots while walking or architecture? You're talking about video? Handheld shots while walking. Because I don't recommend taking photos while walking, right? If you want to take photo, you gotta stop. Don't walk, right? Don't just walk and take photo. That's not recommended unless you're doing video. If you're doing video, then EM5 Mark III. If you want a huge upgrade compared to the D5200, then may I propose EM5 Mark III, not Mark II. Because I think D5200 has a 24 megapixel sensor. Well, but at this point, any mirrorless camera is going to be a big upgrade from the DSLR, right? Let's see. Yes, it has 24 megapixels, so at least what you want would be EM5 Mark III. EM5 Mark III will have 20 megapixels because EM5 Mark II has 16 megapixels. So if you are used to 24, and then suddenly you use the EM5 Mark II, it has 16, you might feel that it's a little bit limiting. But from 24 to 20, I think you can barely notice any difference. If there is any, they just don't crop, right? For video, yes, EM5 Mark III is going to be a huge improvement from both EM5 Mark II and D5200. It's like a massive difference, massive difference. AK47 says EPM2. Just bought one last month. Perry 4150R, or they shoot bird, sun graduating, and sport. Amazing. Yeah, EPM2 is a really interesting camera. It's the attempt made by Olympus to make it really, really small. But they're still very conservative. They still have like proper grip on it. Still have like a electronic viewfinder, not electronic viewfinder, sorry, an attachment for electronic viewfinder. It's doing image stabilization. So because of all these things, the camera cannot be made too small, and that's why the GM1 is so much smaller, because they don't care about electronic viewfinder. They don't care about image stabilization. They don't care about grip. They just make the camera as small as possible. But EPM2 is a more logical choice compared to GM1. It's just that if I want proper grip, if I want electronic viewfinder, if I want image stabilization, I would go for EPL7 or EM10, right? If I want as small as possible, like EPM2, I would go for GM1. Yeah, like at that size, I don't mind the compromises. But EPM2 is a fantastic camera. I've made quite a few videos recently with that camera and about that camera, and I love using it for street photography. I think it's fantastic camera. Martin says, good morning, Robin. My OM3 just arrived this morning. I'm so excited. Congratulations. Please go out and take more photographs with the OM3. Cupcake says, which camera lenses you use to record this live? OM1 and Panasonic 15 1.7. Jeff says, hey, Robin and everyone. Hey, Jeff, how are you? Nice to see you here. How are you, Jeff? Cupcake says, what do you think of the action camera Insta360? It's Pro 2. I have no idea what it is, and I don't really care. The shot amazing near to real camera. No, it is not near real camera. It's still far from real camera, especially for 4/3. It is not even close to what 4/3 can do for street photography. And you can't change lens, because for my street photography, I don't want to use anything that wide. I'd rather use like a 50 equivalent, and you can't do that with what you call that, an action camera, and I don't want to be stuck at ultra wide angle. If you crop, you lose so much resolution, and it's not even the same size resolution compared to micro 4/3. It doesn't have a mechanical shutter, and you can't do a lot. It doesn't really have image stabilization, blah, 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 blah. I can go on and on. I think you get the point. No, you cannot replace a real camera with an action cam. And I'm not bashing action cam, right? I think action cameras are perfect for what they are designed for. And I can't use micro four thirds cameras to replace action cameras. There's a reason why action cameras exist. Let's say if you're snowboarding, or you're cycling in the forest, or if you're trail running, or if you're bungee jumping, or if you're doing like skydiving, for example, you're not gonna strap your micro four thirds camera on the waist and jump out of the plane, right? So an action camera makes more sense. You just mount on a helmet or your chest harness, or like on shoulder, just jump. That makes more sense. That's the same as you want to do anything action related, like skateboarding or surfing or anything. That's where action camera comes in. I'm not going to use micro four thirds for that. Likewise, if I'm going to use like a proper camera to capture a shot, like I want shallow depth of field, I to do a lot of portrait of strangers, so I use 25 1.8. I can't achieve that shallow depth of field with the action cam, right? And I can't have the same field of view, the focal length as this 50 equivalent. Yes, you can crop, but then again, it's not the same. And yeah, it's just like, then micro four thirds still has a lot of advantage. Like I've compared using micro four thirds and a 1-inch camera, and like for example Sony RX100 series. There's just a huge difference in terms of image quality. When you say it's near to real camera, no, it is still very, 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 very far. Whoever claim otherwise, well, I don't want to say they're wrong. Like, you can believe whatever you want to believe. Like, they are still flat earthers. You want to believe that the earth is flat, I can't change your minds. Or if you want to believe that, like recently there's this recent Malaysian scholar, a university professor that says the Romans learned shipbuilding from Malays. I was like, oh my goodness. Like, you can believe all kinds of nonsense. I can't stop you. Like, if you truly want to believe, or there's some other photographers out there, they want to believe that action camera can replace a real camera, then yeah, right? I can't change your mind, but I've already shared my thoughts. No, it is not the same. Number 6 says, Robin, everybody likes to push the button. Buttons should be bigger. That being said, GR buttons overcome this with their elongated shape. GR button's snap focus function is very satisfying. All right. But snap focus is just a poor excuse for poor autofocus, right? If your autofocus is good, you don't need snap focus. Hart says, it's hard to decide if I like the OM1 or EM1X better. Oh, you like massive cameras, hey. Jeff says, my favorite camera is the OM3, best camera I've ever owned, and I've owned a lot since the mid-60s. Yeah, OM3 is definitely one of the best looking cameras out there. I've said that in my mini review of the camera. Quinn says, I have watched too many of your videos before going Micro Four Thirds. Now we have two EM1 Mark II and EM5 Mark IIs. My wife keeps giving me a stare every time. Why? Why is your wife giving you the stares? Like, nothing wrong owning EM1 Mark II and EM5 Mark II, right? If you love. I think the only thing to compensate for the expenditure is that you actually use the cameras and shoot. So if you actively use the camera and take nice photos, I think the wife understands and she can see the joy of you enjoying photography. And even her, you said she's using the 1240, right, to do her photography as well. So as long as both of you are enjoying it, I think it's an investment worth spending. Queen says, every time she hears your voice on the TV. Is my voice that bad? Oh my goodness. Nikki says, the EM5 is the perfect compromise in size, durability, and capability. And a price. I have two generations, and they're all I need for serious work. EM5 is definitely amazing. Pat Darver says, my first step into Micro Four Thirds is GH1, GH2, and Olympus EP2. Amazing. I think those are fantastic cameras. Yeah. Jason says, good morning, Robin. Good evening, Jason. I'm very fond of the Panasonic G9 because it launched my photo career. I shoot Sony now for work. My favorite is probably the EM5 Mark III. Thank you for your hard work. No worries. I love the EM5 Mark III as well. Yeah, definitely. G9 was legendary, right? Hike says, I understand your point of favorite speaking in my books, and in that context, the G9 8-year-old camera would be my favorite. Its size, its weight, and its black and white tone. Size and weight, wow, that's the only thing that I don't like about that camera. I love a lot of things about the G9. I love the grip, I love the electronic viewfinder, I love the image stabilization, I love that the camera, yeah, it gets the shots done, right? It's one of the workhorse cameras. It's designed for stills photography, but I don't like the size. That is even larger than a lot of full-frame cameras today, right? So no, size is one of the things that I don't like. But if it works for you, like I think a lot of people need the camera to be big so that they can feel secure. Like if they're holding a camera that's too small, they feel like it's not sufficient. They're lacking something. I don't know. Camera is a lot to do with psychology, right? To me, it doesn't really matter. I just don't want my cameras to be too large. It's against what Micro Four Thirds stand for. So what Micro Four Thirds is, making cameras and lenses that are really small that can deliver fantastic results. Yeah. Dave says, hi Robin, as a photo and video guy, I like to try some low resolution camera like GH5S, but with image stabilization and face detection autofocus. You can try EM1 Mark II. GF5 doesn't have face detection autofocus. Life in Chengdu says GS85 and 14mm fixed in a jacket pocket. Wow, you must have a massive jacket and a massive pocket. Hak says, testing a cascade effect for my client. Thanks, Robin. Greetings from Mexico. Best for you always. No worries. Thanks for dropping by. Thanks for being here. Namhua says, I think my all-time favorite is EM1 Mark I, the original, because I use it the most and it blew me away coming from Fuji. Yeah. Autofocus, right? Fuji autofocus is just miserable. Let's get to the members' chat. Inga Barrow says, fun question. What 3 lenses would you take to see the Great Wall for the first time? The Great Wall of China? Yeah, my recent trip to China, not the Great Wall, was not a very good one. Minus the fact that my mom died there. That has nothing to do with me not liking China. Just that, I don't know, like, I don't intend to go back to China. I don't know, like, I've heard a lot of horror stories from my friends, and I don't really look forward to the trip. I went because my mom wants to go with her church friends, and unfortunately, if you guys don't know, my mom died in China. That's why I've been very busy for the past few months trying to sort things out after her memorial service. And yeah, but then China, I don't know, like, nothing against the country, like, I respect what they do. They are way more technologically advanced compared to Malaysia, and they adopted green technology more efficiently. They have more electric vehicles all around everywhere, and they're very organized and everything. Just, I don't know. I just don't feel like there's nothing. I don't know. I just sometimes it's just different for everyone, right? Like some people they have this urge or this desire to do something or to go somewhere. Like that doesn't exist for me to go to China. But if I were to give advice about Great Wall for China, then you need something wide. Then maybe at least 9 f1.7. If you want to go, if you have something wider, is even better, like 714. If you don't mind the weight, or if you want something smaller, if you don't mind using manual focus, then Laowa 6f2. Right? Then maybe something in the middle of, like, if I were to travel, I don't really care about zoom, not zoom range, sorry, image quality. So I'll probably carry something like a kit lens, like 12 to 35, sorry, 12 to 32. Panasonic or 1442 Olympus, doesn't really matter, one of the kit lens, and 40 to 150, the long lens, and there will be the 3 lenses that I recommend. Laowa 6f2, one of the kit lenses, 1442, 1232, doesn't really matter, and 40 to 150. That'll give you enough coverage for everything. Or if you want one lens to do everything, maybe 12 to 100. Or 14 to 150. Yeah, one lens, that would be convenient as well. Warren Capture says, how do you keep your images so clear? I always struggle with some noise and softness. But all the images I shown were taken with ISO 200. Or like, I don't think I go very high, right? Like all the images I've shown earlier, like I don't remember having images that are, this is like under direct hot sun. Like you wouldn't use anything more than ISO 200, right? Like of course they are clean, right? Later I'll show you images that are taken with higher ISO later. But all these images were like, you can see this like hot, like super hot. There's no reason why you should increase your ISO numbers, right? It doesn't make sense. Yeah. So yeah. Rowan Capture says, what really cheap, wide and fast lens will you recommend for stuff like Astro? Manual focus is fine. Laowa 6mm f2. And I have a review for that. This was one of the, so a lot of the lens manufacturers, fun fact, they'll send out lenses for us to review. And normally at the end of the review, we get to keep the product. That was not the case for Laowa. And for Laowa, I have to return the lens, which was, did I return this lens? Laowa 6. Did I sell this? I think I returned the lens. I did not keep this lens. I don't remember having this lens with me for very long. I have to return this. Yeah. Yeah, so there you go, Laowa 6 f2. That is the widest rectangular lens for Micro Four Thirds. I don't think there's anything wider than that. Anything wider than that, you need to go fisheye, right? And that is also very bright, f2, so it's perfect for astrophotography. You want the bright aperture so you can minimize your high ISO use. And yeah, it should be wide enough for what you need to do. That's the widest already. You can't go wider than that at this moment. And the image quality is quite impressive. No worries. It's not so much of, I wasn't really talking about my mom. I'm still dealing with grief, of course, and that's an ongoing process. It's not going to be easy. But it's just, I don't feel like going to China. Sorry. Yeah. Yes, manual focus. And that's because I take lenses or review lenses that's manual focus that autofocus doesn't have. There's no autofocus option for a 6mm lens. And whether you like it or not, you have no choice. If you want this lens this wide, you need manual focus, right? If there is an autofocus 6mm, of course, I wouldn't be doing anything with this Laowa 6 manual focus lens, right? There's just no other options. So that's why I did the review for that. Yeah. James says, channeling Emily from Micro Four Nerds. What Micro Four Nerds camera bring you joy when you use it, or you cannot wait to use it next? That's slightly different than your favorite. Well, still the same. Like EM1 Mark II for work, EM1 original, and GM1 for travel. Nothing changed. Yeah, it's just a different way of saying what you enjoy using, right? Yeah. All these cameras bring me joy. Yeah, let's get to the non-members chat. Ho says, I agree with your statement about bonding with camera. Even if someone lent me the most recent OM1, I won't be able to use it well. It takes time to know a camera, right? Paul says, hey Robin, how is it going? I have the original EM5 and EM10. They have a lovely film-like quality to the shots, maybe the result of an old sensor. I also have the latest OM1, so I am happy. Yeah, the EM5 definitely is very different, and the EM10 as well. I think EM5 and EM10, they have the same sensor, so they produce very similar results, the color tones and everything. Yeah, it's definitely from the, I would call that the second generation Micro Four Thirds sensor. First generation was from the EP1, G1, that's the 12 megapixels from the Four Thirds days. And the second generation was the 16 megapixels sensor from the EM5, EM10. And the third generation was the 20 megapixels, which is from the EM1 Mark II. I think the OM1 will be the fourth generation already. Ezekiel says, hi bro. Hey Ezekiel, how are you? David says, owner of GX800 and looking for a video camera, thinking of the use OM5. Ideally, I like the S9, but want to keep Micro Four Thirds lenses for now. Yeah, the OM5 is a way better camera than the S9. Don't go for the S9. Don't fall for the trap, man. Don't fall for the trap. It's too expensive and it does very little. OM3 is all budget. What do you think of OM5? Yeah, OM5 is fine. It's very similar to EM5 Mark III, and I used EM5 Mark III for more than half of the video, like the first 3 years of the video on this channel, 4 years from 2019 to 2023, they were all shot with the EM5 Mark III. And amazing stabilization if you just want to handheld your shots without any gimbal or tripod. Amazing 4K quality is not bad. Like my videos, they're done in 4K, right? And autofocus is reliable, like at least you're not moving too fast. And I just put the camera on the tripod, hit the record button, and the camera will find me, and I don't have to worry whether I'm in focus or not. So yeah, I think OM5 or even EM5 Mark III will be a fantastic video camera. Yeah, definitely for sure. Linda says, hi Robin, hi everyone. Did Robin ever disclose which camera he used last time? Panasonic for sure, because he hated the colors. Last time? What do you mean last time? I can list the main cameras that I've used from day one. Has been Olympus, right? So I started with Olympus E-410. That camera got stolen. Okay, let me just go over it from the beginning. I started with Kodak Compact. So I had 3 compact cameras from Kodak. I killed all of them. That's how I started photography back in the year 2004, 2005. Digital point and shoot. 3 Kodak cameras, killed all of them. And then I went DSLR, which was 4/3. E410, used it for 3 months, got stolen. Tragedy. Talk about that next time. And then I upgraded to E520, used that for many years. And then I started to be involved with Olympus. And Olympus bought my photographs. They paid with the E5, so I had the Olympus E5, a flagship DSLR. I still have it for now. I used it for many years. I actually used it way past the time until during the existence of Micro Four Thirds, because the first few Micro Four Thirds cameras were not good enough to replace DSLR. They were not fast enough in terms of autofocus. Image quality also not good enough. I felt that the E5 was a better camera, right? And do not have enough lenses yet. So that time Four Thirds was quite mature already. Until EM1 came. EM1 was the first camera that convinced me to switch to mirrorless Micro Four Thirds, and that's in 2013. So I had E5 from 2011, and then 2000. I didn't switch immediately in 2013. I think in 2014, late 2014, then I switched to EM1, and then EM1, EM5. I had EM5 as my backup. EM1 is the main camera. I used it from 2014 until 2017. 2018. I think 2018. Then I got the EM1 Mark II. Although I had one camera from Olympus to use permanently, but that's not mine. I had it from 2017, 2018. I already have the EM1 Mark II to use, but it was on long-term loan. And then I returned the loan camera to them in 2018, and then the EM1 Mark II until today. So there was never a Panasonic camera. I have Panasonic cameras for casual use. I've used multiple Panasonic cameras over the years. I have the GF2, I have LX100. I still have the LX100, although it's faulty. I have the GM1. I had the GM5 before. I gave it to a friend. I used the G9 before review. I have also reviewed the GH4, GH5 before. Yeah, what else? Panasonic cameras did I have? Yeah, I had the LX10 for the longest time. I sold it off. Yeah, but those are casual cameras, nothing too serious. Yeah. Chuck says 40-50 f4 always comes out with me on the street. I like the compressed sunset shots. Amazing, amazing lens. It's very compact, right? The cat photo is really lovely. Yeah, don't show everything, just show a part of the cat photo. Number 6 says I try to always use a standard zoom for street photography. Micro Four Thirds is compact, so I can. That being said, I appreciate our talk tonight on prime lens composition. Yeah, definitely, definitely. And yeah, we just try to be open-minded and try different things. And yeah, my favorite, I'll still, if I were to choose, I'll still go out with my 50 prime, right? The 25 1.8. Yeah. Lee says, exploring this old vintage metal lens combined with OM camera is quite fun. No autofocus, no go for Robin. Life is too short for manual focus, and I don't consider manual focusing fun. I only do it when necessary. If I can choose, autofocus all the way. Chuck says, I'm hoping one day you'll publish a photo book, Robin. I have I don't publish books, but I print books. Let me just go and find my books quickly. Let me see, where is this? Be right back. Be right back. Be right back. I'm still here. All right, I am back with my books. Okay, where is the camera? All right, so these are the 2 books that I printed recently. Let me just... All right, so it's a cover. Ta-da! And this is a compilation of my random shots. Maybe I'll just put this down. All right, you can see, go nearer. All right. Let's see if any other shots. Right. Yeah, just random shots. I try to make a few books a year. Just compile my favorite shots, some of my favorite portraits, favorite shots. See some from the earlier pages. Yep. So there you go. Not for sale, by the way, just for personal consumption. So yeah, these are random shots. Different cameras, Nikon, Sony, Canon, Olympus, Panasonic, everything mixed. And this book is specifically from my recent Recoil GR review, GR4 review. And I will bring this book to Johor to show people shots I've taken with the Recoil GR. Yeah, and yeah, let's see. There you go. Recoil GR. Bird flying, right? And I have some panning shots. Yeah, and yeah, let's see some of the pages. Yeah, just print for fun. Nothing too crazy. Yep. Right. So yeah, I do print books. So these are the 2 latest books I print. I don't think I'm gonna make any more this year. If you do meet me in person, I don't mind sharing these books with you guys. You guys can have a look, right? No worries, no worries. Thanks, Ho. SG House says, shout out to the OG E1 for Magical CCD. I still have the E1. I do, yeah, I still shoot with the E1 from time to time. Linda says, Robin, if your EM1 Mark II suddenly broke, could you still do a job with the EM1 Mark I? No, I will not. I'll use the OM1 instead. I think the reason is this EM1 is not reliable anymore. It's too old, and I'm not confident that the camera can survive a proper job. and I wouldn't do that to my client. I'll either find something more reliable. I can easily find a second-hand used EM1 Mark II, or I know, or borrow one from my friend if I can't find one in time. Either I get an EM1 Mark III, EM1 Mark II, or yeah, just use the OM1 for my job. Yeah. Eldon says, "Hello Robin, my favorite camera is the OM3. I'm coming from a Nikon world, and the OM3 offers everything I need and much more. Plus, it's smaller than my D7200 and it's IP53. Favorite lens 12-40 f2.8. Amazing. I think 12-40 is one of the best lenses for Micro Four Thirds. It's so versatile. It's super sharp. Go really close. It's just you can't find anything bad about that lens. And yeah, OM3 is one of the most beautiful looking camera I've ever seen in my life. So can't go wrong." Seraphim says, EM5 1.5 cameras are my favorite. I would do a paid work with them. I get into places constantly where regular cameras can't because they think it's a film camera. Really? Alright, Joseph says, any thoughts on the new Godox? No idea. I don't know what these flashes are. Let me just Google that quickly. Godox IT32? Godox IT32. Okay, loading the page now. Yeah, looks like a normal flash. Let me read the specifications. What's the power? Guide number, guide number, guide number. Number of flashes, power savings provided. Why didn't they mention the guide number? Or maybe I'm just not seeing it. Guide number 18, it's very weak. So in context, you want to compare, currently my flash, which is the FL50R, the guide number is 50. That's why it's called 50R. That's less than half, or it's like 1/3 of my flash power. No, not enough for what I need to do. Definitely not enough. I would suggest getting at least guide number 40, 50 minimum. Right, that's not powerful enough. Santix says, hey Robin, weather has been crazy. Take a drink more water. Thanks Santix, thanks for the reminder. Let me drink my water now. Thanks for the reminder. Nice seeing you Santix, appreciate that. Santix says, EPO9 is my favorite. It is fun. Of course, pan cameras are always very fun. And for more serious stuff, OM5, yeah. Moonban says, thank you, I'm okay with 16 megapixels, just walking, but I think, man, I'll walk where photos are taken while standing still. You're saying that taking photos while you walk, right? Like, that's not right. You should not move when you click the shutter button, right? If you move, then I don't think there's a way that image stabilization, even the best image stabilization in the world cannot help you to steady your shot. Yeah, I understand. If 16 is enough, then yeah, maybe EM5 Mark II, but I would still push for EM5 Mark III if you can, right? AK47 says, my next target is EM5 Mark II. Alright, this is a lot of people's cameras favorites in this chat. Akif says, I'm new to photography. I decided to buy OM5 Mark II with 14-150, and I want to add 2 more lenses, like Panasonic 25 1.4 and Yono 17 1.7. All of them 1400 to 1500 euro. Does it make sense? Okay, I would suggest that you rethink about the Panasonic 25 1.4 and Yono 17. The reason is because they are very close. So I know you're new to photography, that's why I'm asking you to reconsider. Before you buy 25 and 17, ask yourself which one do you prefer. Because, okay, maybe if you buy it, you don't like it, you can return it or you can sell it off later. If that's the case, that's fine. You want to try new things, that's okay. But normally, people who shoot with 50, they wouldn't like 35 equivalent, so 35 17, 50 is 25, or like I'm a 50 shooter, so I don't really use 17 a lot, or people who like 35, they don't really use 50, so I very seldom find people who will have both lenses or who can shoot with both, so normally it's just one or the other, but both are fantastic lenses. What I would suggest is you have a 14-150, then either 25 or 17, and something wider like 9-18, or 9 f1.7, something that can, another lens that cannot do any of what any of these lenses can do. That will be my advice to you, right? Queen says, because every time my wife heard your voice, she thought I was going to buy a new lens. By the way, have you tried any Voigtlander? I'm drilling over 25 f0.7. Nope, no autofocus, no go for Robin. CC says, Robin, I use my EM5 more than my EM1 Mark II because of its size and simplicity. Own a G2 because there is something lovely about it. Thank you for being my companion through my happy Micro Four Thirds journey. No worries, glad that you are enjoying your original EM5. I still have the original EM5, although it may not be in very good condition. I think it can still power on. Maybe I should do something with the original EM5 next for my shutter therapy or something. Yeah, I still have it. Let's see if we have members chat. Let me just jump over to members chat first. Juliet says, I own mostly primes, but I've been eyeing the Olympus 1240 f2.8 for a long time. I wanted to find out which lenses render the best on OM3. All Micro Four Thirds lenses, they will render optimally on the Micro Four Thirds cameras. You can put in Panasonic lens or Olympus or OM system lens. They will work well on the OM3, right? So you don't have to worry about that. But the 12 to 40 has been a classic. It's one of the best zoom lenses out there. I don't think there's anything bad anyone has to say about that lens. It's just a fantastic lens. Yeah. Ink and Barrel says, I think it was last week you said you hated the color during the presentation. I think it was a compact. Yes. So someone was asking about what I said last week. Yeah. Nope. Still not going to review what it was. Not going to review what it was. James says, what vendor do you use for your books? Photobook Malaysia. Not sure if they're available in where you are, but it's a website, photobook.com.my, I think. Yeah. Gary says, I wish I could understand that EM1 510. EM1 is the flagship. EM5 is the mid-tier. EM10 is the entry level. Makes sense? EM1 and EM5 have weather sealing. EM10 doesn't have. EM1 has all the best features. EM5 has some of the EM1 features. The EM10 is just basic. Like EM10 has no weather sealing, has low level image stabilization, doesn't have all the computational features like Pro Capture Mode, high res shot. But EM5 has low level Pro Capture, low level high res shot, whereas the EM1 or the OM1 will have all the best features. Right? I hope that makes sense. Yeah. Mika says, my favorite is the OM1 because I figured out how to use it, so I'm confident using it. No worries, no worries. I think OM1 is a capable camera. Gregory says, I'm not seeing much love for the EM10. It seems like a nice compact size for everyday carry. See my note on the EM1 510 confusion. No worries. I think EM10 is a fantastic camera. There are some people who talk about EM10. I don't know if you've seen it. EM10, EM10 Mark II, EM10 Mark IV. I can easily count like 7-8 people mention EM10. That's a lot of love for EM10, Gregory. Oh, you miss all these chats. Yeah. Coming up, Mara says, hi Robin and everyone. Hey, I need a wide-angle lens for taking group pictures of around 100 people for a group shot. What lens would I get? Need sharp corner to corner. Typically for group shots, I don't use ultra-wide unless I have to. Like let's say that I'm in a tight room and I have not much space between me and the first person and my back is on the wall, then I'll switch to wide angle. But if I can, I'll just shoot maybe 28 or longer. Like the wider you go, the more problematic the shot will be, right? Yeah, but if I have to, then I'll use the 9 f1.7. If you need a good wide angle lens, again, yeah, let me go back to, maybe it's already past. I don't think I can go back anymore. Yeah, I have to redo this. Oh, can I go back? No, I can't. Yep, I'll go for this. Sharing it for the second time. For you, coming out, right, Mariam? There you go. Ultra wide angle lens for a group shot. Okay. Sunday says, to Great Wall from experience kit lens, 20-25 prime and tele kit lens. But then 5% probably stick to kit lens or shooting 15 to 30 millimeters range. Alright, that's good. Hopefully the other guy takes note. The Great Vanzini says, good morning, Robin. Hey, how are you? Nice to see you again. Whoa. I don't know how to pronounce your name. Hosu? Hosu? Jozu. sorry, I can't pronounce your name. EM10 Mark II, my first natural camera. I love it. I'm thinking of an update to the OM1 in the future. There you go, Gregory. EM10 Mark II. There. Gigi Wallach says 3 favorites: EM1 Mark III, Panasonic G9, and EPL9. All right, that's amazing. Chuck says very nice. Now go find a publisher. Nah, I don't. If I were to sell a book, it has to be something that I'm very proud of, something that I think you guys will find worth spending money on. Like my shots, honestly, are very normal. I don't think they are anything publish worthy, or I don't think. And basically, you guys can see everything online anyway. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll think about it when I want to make a book. It has to be something special. Like, and another thing I noticed is that everyone has a book these days. Everyone makes a book. I'm like, why? It's become like there's something wrong with you if you don't have a book, right? So instead of like joining the crowd and just make a book because I want to make a book, I need a good reason to make a book, right? So yeah, thanks Gigi Wildlife, I appreciate that. Revazini says nice. I bet it's expensive for a one-off book. Nah, it was 60 ringgit, right? Let me see, 162 USD. Each book, including shipping, was $15 US dollars, 15 US dollars each book. Sage says, I moved from Panasonic GX85 to G9 Mark II. It's a big difference. The only thing I miss is the small size. I also bought the Panasonic 25 1.4 and Panasonic 42.5 f1.2, not the Chron. All right. Yeah, it's the size, right? That's why the G9 Mark II is a little bit too large. Hey Wolfie, how are you? We almost end the session already. It's past midnight here in Malaysia. Nice to see you. I still have one set of photographs I haven't shared. Oh my goodness, just remembered that. Let me just quickly go to the photograph. Just reminded me of that. All right. The second set of photographs were taken with EM1 and the 14-140 Panasonic. Let me just put it here so I can visualize myself during the shoot. Let me just quickly change lens. And it was in Kuala Lumpur Performing Arts Center, shooting like a mini concert that they have there. I was an audience, so I couldn't move. It wasn't a job, so that's why I used this. If it was a job, then I would go nearer to the stage and just use like 75 1.8 or 45 1.8. So here it is. So these shots, because this Panasonic lens is like what, f4 to 5.8, if I'm not wrong. Yes, f4 to 5.8. So if I zoom to 140, it's f1.8, right? So it's quite dark. I need to boost my ISO to like 3200, 6400 or beyond. This is where, yes, there is noise. If we pixel peep, I'm not going to do that. It's not perfect. And yeah, but I don't care. Like I said, noise is not the end of the world. And capturing the moment is definitely more important. Yeah, see, from my seated position, I can go this close to 14-140. That's the advantage of the super zoom lens, right? So this is amazing. All the singers are so fantastic. And it doesn't look like it's low light, but trust me, it was very, very, very dim. But then again, if you think about it, if this was shot at 6400 ISO at f5.8, right? If I use a 75 1.8, instead of using 6400 ISO, I can get away with maybe ISO 1600 or lower. And then it's not such a bad thing at all, right? It's not such a bad thing already. Like, hey, ISO 1600 on Micro Four Thirds, that's perfectly manageable, right? So that's why it's important for me to use prime lenses for my jobs. I want to deliver my best shots for my clients as best as possible, right? And yeah, and of course, this was not a job. I can't move around, I can't go near, so I need a longer zoom lens, and this 14-140 is just the perfect one lens to do everything. I can do wide angle to shoot everything. I can go close if I want. So yeah, this one lens is just perfect. Yeah. And surprisingly, the EM1, in this situation, I'll say the autofocus is quite reliable. Not as fast as EM1 Mark II. Of course, EM1 Mark II makes a huge difference in lower light, low contrast situations, but still, EM1 is still good enough. I can get these shots. I didn't miss much. I did miss some shots, but not much. Yeah. So overall, I get very high hit rate with the EM1 original. So no issue whatsoever. Like for personal jobs, not jobs, for personal projects or shoots, no issue whatsoever. Again, like the advantage of super zoom, I can just go wide and capture like everyone within one frame, which is really nice. Or go even wider and capture the entire stage. And you can see this 14 is not wide enough. Yes, that's why sometimes I need like 9mm to just capture everything. You can see I already crop off the guitarist on the left. I think there's maybe another musician after that guitarist on the left. So yeah, 14 is definitely not wide enough for jobs. Yeah, and go close again. Go close again. And I think it's the maximum zoom, and this is like the hardest to shoot because you're stuck at f5.8, right? But even so, the wide angle is not really that bright. Wide angle 14 is f4. That's relatively dark. Yeah. There it is. And yeah, capturing moments. Like, of course, if I'm doing a job, I would move myself so I can see both their faces. Now I'm at the back of one of the singers, not the ideal position, but I'm stuck in one seat. I can't move around. And, you know, like as an audience, you have to respect the performance and the crowd, right? You can't just move anywhere you want to, or I'll get kicked out. And yeah, capturing moments like this is important. We do something, you see it, and they just pull their hand up for like 1 or 2 seconds, and that's it. So you have to like be very quick, right? You see it, you half press the shutter button and grab the shot, right? So yeah, and then one of them put the hand down already. See, like one second later, no more. So yeah, so there you go. Wide angle shot. Yeah, going as close as possible. Yeah. Her name is Kathleen. I've been shooting her a lot. I think if you've seen some of my shoots or the things that I've done for CalPAC, I've shot Kathleen a lot over the years. So yeah, that's the wide angle shot covering everyone, including the audience. So there you go. Those are the shots that I've shared for CalPAC mini concert shoot with the original EM1. This is one of my favorite cameras. I love the camera so much. And yeah, not the perfect example of what Macro Four Thirds can do. If I were to do this job, I will use the EM1 Mark II, better high ISO performance, better dynamic range, and of course with my f1.8 lenses using lower ISO, so image quality will definitely be better, less noise, better colors and everything. So it doesn't really matter. Noise is not the end of the world, right? And it's not a job. Instead of caring about technical perfection, I was an audience. I should be enjoying the concert, right? It should be present, enjoy the music, just click a few frames just for the fun of it. And I shouldn't be carried away and not enjoy myself, right? So yeah. It's a reminder for you guys as well, right? If you're taking photos, don't forget to take a breather and just be in the moment and enjoy wherever you are and whatever you're doing and whoever you're with. Make sure you're there for them as well, right? So yeah. Here says, thank you, remember the distinctions now. No worries. EM10 lost in the EM5 Love Fest. Here says, I'm thinking about being in Malaysia next April without a weather sealed camera. Nah. There will be rain, but I don't think you want to shoot in the rain unless you prepare yourself to shoot in the rain, then bring a weather sealed camera. Yeah, other than that, like I unless I have to, I will not intentionally go under the rain. That's like one way to fall sick, and you don't want to fall sick during your travel, right, Gregory? Right. James says, using the EM10 and the X-Half, thanks to Robin and his suggestions on how to configure the aspect settings. Awesome. Reuse, loving it. Yeah. You can shoot vertically, right? The vertical aspect ratio, 3:4 aspect ratio on an EM10 or any Olympus cameras back then. A lot of people don't know. Even now, the new camera. $15 US. Yeah, I cannot touch that in the US. Yeah, it's different here. Things cost less here. Yeah, Gary says, GM1 almost puts a blue cast across all of my outdoor image. Fortunately, easily fixed. Yeah, just shoot raw and fix everything, right? No worries. Yeah, Juliet says, I have to join a work call now, but thank you, Robin, for your time and expertise. No worries. Thanks for being here. I appreciate that. And you have a good day ahead, Juliet. Hope to see live music. Hopefully there's some performance in Kuala Lumpur Performing Arts Center, or if any of the independent singer-songwriters are performing. I'll let you know, Gregory, when you're here. I'll keep an eye out for all this performance. That shot of the back of the singer is a great shot, very in the moment. Yeah, that's what we do as photographers, right? We capture moments, and those moments, they are more important than technical perfection, right? You want to see me drink water? Oh, okay, thanks for that. Oh, let me drink. Thanks for the reminder. Yeah. Okay, let's get to the non-members chat. Wolfie says, I never tried and never owned the EM10. I'm very much drawn to EM5 for smaller size and EM1 feature set. If you have the EM5, it makes no sense to have the EM10. So you're fine, Wolfie. You're perfectly fine. Also, I could never find myself comfortable without weather sealing. That's why I can't motivate myself towards EM10. I understand. But like I said, I have weather sealed cameras. So, but I don't need all my cameras to be weather sealed, right? And I don't intentionally go into the rain. And that's like one of the reasons why we fall sick. And once you fall sick, like especially at my age now, it's very hard to recover. And if I'm sick, I can't do work and I have less income. That's not helpful for anyone, right? So yeah, if I'm not shooting in harsh conditions, any camera is fine. Wolfie says, in terms of size, weight, and build quality, my favorite is GX7. Ah, that's amazing. I still have one more video left on the GX7 I haven't published yet. I will publish that in a few weeks. Linda says, fun fact, EM1 is cheaper than EM10 Mark II in a used market. That's interesting. They might still get the EM1, right? You have better image stabilization. You have magnesium alloy body, more rugged. You have better electronic viewfinder, if I'm not wrong, compared to EM10 Mark II. Although the EM10 Mark II is OLED, depending if you're using sunglasses, right? If you use sunglasses, then the EM10 Mark II is easier to operate on. And of course, EM10 Mark II is not weather sealed, so EM1 is. And there are a lot of things EM1 still does better, like it has 1/8,000th of a second shutter speed maximum. EM10 series only 1/4,000. Yeah, overall, I still think EM1 is a better camera. Yeah. Which says, in terms of performance and all-rounder usage, it's only EM1 Mark III or M1. Can't decide between the two because I don't like some of the downgrades made in OM1. True, very, very true. He says, you guys are twin each other, no worries. Linda says, I think I like shooting with my G5 more than the GF7. 3D controls GF7, even though it's older and bulkier. Then you are like myself. You prefer a DSLR build, right? Yeah, that's why I can't get along with rangefinder style cameras. I need my electronic viewfinder to be at the center. I need like a beefy grip. I need a twin dial control. It's a classic DSLR design. Yeah, you're like me, Linda. Movie says, I haven't used an own Panasonic GX7 in over 7 years. I don't remember. I think the white balance was very good, even in most difficult lights. I shot a heavy metal concert GX7 without issues years ago. Yeah, GX7 colors, this doesn't work for me. I don't like the colors. I don't like the handling of the camera. And overall, yeah, just not many things I like about the camera. Sorry, I'd rather use the EM1 original over the GX7. Yeah, Linda says, so maybe aesthetics aside, I do prefer a good grip. Both the EM1 original, EM10 Mark II, and the Z50 look very tempting for me. I understand. So you are like the traditional people. I think this is the reason why these SLRs, film SLRs, and then the DSLRs is the reason why they are so popular and they were dominant in one era. Like everyone is using DSLR, right? There's the reason why they dominate the market. Yeah. Wolfie says, the only limit I had in some images was from the limited raw data rate and a bit when the light was severely pushed to one color from the lights. Those images were uncorrectable from the original tint. Even if you use full frame, there's nothing you can correct because light is light, right? Like full frame cameras or larger sensor cameras, they cannot add light that is not there. They cannot create light. So there's only one source of light. There's nothing you can do to change the colors. So there's nothing to do with the... I don't think the raw data is limited. The light that's collected by the camera is limited. Then there's nothing you can do, even if you have the best medium format camera ever, right? So yeah. Linda says, a question about the EM1 Mark 1. Is it true that its face detect is only for adapted photos? No, the face detect will be activated if you use continuous autofocus. If you use single autofocus, then it's 100% contrast detect. But if you use 4/3 lenses, then when you use single autofocus, yes, the face detect will be activated. But if you use micro 4/3 lenses, single autofocus is just purely 100% contrast detect. But when you switch to continuous autofocus, both the 4/3 and micro 4/3 lenses, you use the face detection autofocus. Yeah. Movie says, and it's applicable on face detection with EM1 original, EM5, yes. Parker style. It can fit, really? Okay. Movie says, Robin, I'm having an existential crisis. I'm going to move back to Micro Four Thirds because I'm not going to do anything with photography. For that, EM1 Mark II is all I need. Yeah, it's still my main camera for my workhorse. I'm actively shooting even today, delivering shots to my clients. They're still happy with it. I'm going to sell Nikon here and stick to 1454. Wow, the 4/3 lenses. That's interesting with the MMF3 for extreme budget reasons. Okay, I will at least go for 12 to 40. Well, if budget is really very tight, then understand. Yeah. It's beyond wet in the UK, rains horizontally. Oh, okay, yeah, of course. Let's say during the last few shows images, but didn't disclose which camera. I was curious which cam it was. Nope, I did not disclose any camera it was. No worries. It's fine. Let's say it's Olympus against all. Against all what? Here says he said earlier that he will continue to draw out the suspense. The Great Vanzini says Z50 has a big, nice grip, but heavier and bigger than most Olympus cameras. Not really though. Like, have you really used the Z50? It is not bigger than the EM1 Mark II. It's not bigger than OM1. It's still smaller than OM1 and EM1 Mark II and G9 especially. So it's not bigger than most Olympus cameras. That's not true. It's definitely bigger than EM5, of course. EM5 and EM10, yeah. All right, I will stop here. It is already 19 minutes past midnight in Malaysia, and we've covered quite a lot of ground. I've shared 2 sets of different photographs, all taken with this Super Zoom Panasonic 14-140. I thought you guys will find those photographs interesting. Yeah, and those images were taken with the EM1 and EM10 cameras. And I still love this EM1, and it's one of my favorite cameras. It's okay to have more than one favorites. It's fine. My favorite cameras are EM1 Mark II, EM1, and Panasonic GM1. And it's also okay for you to change your mind, like maybe 1 year down the road, then maybe you have a new favorite camera. That's perfectly fine. And yeah, thanks for sharing your favorite cameras with me. It seems like a lot of people love the EM5 Mark II. A lot of people love EM10, despite Gregory not seeing any of them. Which is strange, right? A lot of people love Panasonic cameras as well, G9. A lot of people love the newer cameras like OM3 and OM1. Yeah, so yeah, interesting. And surprisingly, not many people love the GM series camera. I would think more people will throw in the GM as their favorites. But anyway, doesn't really matter. Maybe not everyone is here. Seems like tonight we don't have as many people watching as usual. So yeah, thanks for being here. I enjoyed chatting with you guys. I hope you've enjoyed the session. Until the next one, please go out and take more photographs. Bye-bye.